Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, we go to let pop culture lair.
Happy Saturday and welcome to the weekly Saturday overnight live edition of the Sci-Fi Center Presents. I'm your host, your guaranteed host. We don't know about the other guy every now and then. William, how are you doing? And let's just go ahead and get started. Please like, subscribe if you're watching this. I know it's less than 10% of you guys who watch this are actually subscribed. So subscribe so that you can watch a lot more and spread the word to your friends. Click the like button, click the alert button, spread the stream, do all that kind of stuff depending on what um, platform you are watching us on. If you are watching us on Twitter, do me a huge favor. Now I can't move the thing. Great. Hold on for a second. StreamYard's fucking up again. Hold on. I'm going to blink out for a second. I'm going to blink right back in. There we go. I hate when they do that. Um, yes, let me get the right background on. Yeah, if you are watching us on Twitter, like I said before, StreamYard really interrupted me. Go to right, which should be popping up. Wow, it's a delay. Right there, there you go. Everything that's going on with StreamYard has been some kind of weird, stupid delay. So youtube.com/@ the Sci-Fi Center. Glad to have you watching us on Twitch or any of these other platforms, but the planet or the channel is built around YouTube. So if you could join us there, that would be much appreciated. Tonight's show is all of our shows for eternity, especially when I can remember our major sponsors, is brought to you by Trauma Now. Trauma/now.com. The first month is free. After that, it's $4.99. If you support any type of independent cinema, even if you're not into trauma films proper, which I don't know why you wouldn't be, there are other indie things on there that Lloyd distributes through Trauma Now. So there's a lot of indie stuff that wouldn't get a shot in other places that you can get and watch on Trauma Now. So Trauma Now, TROMA-NOW.com. First month is free. After that, it's $4.99. Always like to support Trauma. All right, so tonight's topics are, in no given order, we are going to do we are going to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the Black Panther. Here's a facsimile issue of Fantastic Four number 52, the first appearance of T'Challa 6 decades ago. Wow, we're all old. We are going to talk about, because I've already covered, I'll go over the covers of Absolute Batman number 16, both the variant cover and the A cover, which is outselling the variant cover, even though I got enough of both. Absolute Wonder Woman number 16, Absolute Zatanna. Pretty cool story. Not as good as Absolute Batman number 16, but this was more of a building block for future stories. We can reintroduce to certain characters that have been around for quite a while but have not been seen in this context. The movie of the night is going to be Labyrinth, the movie that showed me that David Bowie could just do anything. He could act, he could sing, he could do dance, he could do it all. Labyrinth, which was released 40 years ago today, and per request by Clint, one of our normal viewers and local here in Las Vegas, buddy of mine, our album of the week is going to be the 30th anniversary of Tool's Aenema, which is arguably their best album. I mean, Undertow is the one that kicked the door open for them. Undertow, Sober. I mean, those are the ones that really, really made the initial impact. But Anima is one of those ones that has got most of their hits on it, in my opinion. That's just me. All right, and then what else we got? Oh, forgot to do this coming in because I was having some delay issues. Fortunately, we have to do some got to do some rest in peace stuff. You big dummy, Desmond Williams. So for those of you of a certain age, hey, and those of you who have TV Land or cable or anything that shows you reruns, you guys might know Desmond Wilson by his name, but I guarantee you're gonna know him as Lamont Sanford, son of Fred Sanford, co-owner of the Sanford and Son Salvage Yard. I can hear that song in my head. Dun, 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 dun. I didn't necessarily grow up in this. This show was over and done while I was still a small child. In fact, it might have been off the air before I was even born. But through repeats and syndication, I, in my parents' love for Red Fox, I probably saw every single episode of this show. Um, this was um, this was a cool show back in an era where a lot of the stuff that folks of color got on screen with was stereotypical stuff. This wasn't stereotypical, man. They were in South Central Los Angeles. They portrayed the father and son dynamic very well, even through comedy, and they also portrayed hardworking people. So I really got that ethic from the show. But yeah, you know he was what Lamont was what Meathead was to Archie in a way. You know, uh, Fred Sanford was all the stereotypes. He had racist. I mean, he was grumpy. He was old. He was set in his way. And then you had his son Lamont, who was the new age, more open to new things and seeing the world in a different way. But yeah, that is. I don't know of Desmond Wilson in any other role but Lamont Sanford. But that's the only one I needed to see. So yeah, when I heard he passed away at 79 today, hit me right in the childhood here. And obviously, one of the bigger ones that happened even before that was Catherine O'Hara. Now, I knew who this woman was, no doubt. Uh, I am not as connected to her work as a lot of you are. I'm not a big fan of Home Alone. I think it's silly, unbelievable, but it's a hit. It's a staple. That's where a lot of people know her from. Beetlejuice. Obviously, I saw Beetlejuice. I haven't seen Beetlejuice in years, but I knew who Captain O'Hara was, and I have never seen Schitt's Creek, but she was a big hit in every single one of those. Um, yeah, and she passed away at 71 a few days ago. We weren't on the air. We did not have a show the night she passed, but yeah, this is I don't want to say icon, but she's been in iconic movies that pretty much everybody either knows about or has seen. Like I said, the biggest one is a movie that I saw literally three-quarters of before I left and snuck into a different movie, and that's Home Alone. I was with the family. I remember seeing this with the family. We were, it was I forgot what year it was, but it was at Norton Air Force Base's theater, and there was only four screens, and they had decided they wanted to go see Home Alone, and I got through just over half of it, and I forgot what I left to see, but I know I left it. But I knew who she was, and her talent was, great. Like I said, mostly from other things. But rest in peace, Captain O'Hara. 71's to no cause of death. I don't know what it was, but 71 is a little bit young to be going. So who knows? Yeah, rest in peace to Desmond Wilson and Catherine O'Hara. Man, rough week to be in your 70s, man. So let me go ahead and say hi to my adoring public. Oh yeah, and I already see some questions about it. Yeah, we're gonna probably start off going over the Royal Rumble, which is I listen, as much as I have grown apart from the WWE product, the major ones are the ones I usually look forward to. WrestleMania is not as much anymore because it's been a letdown in the last 8 or 9 years. But WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and the Royal Rumble. Last year's Royal Rumble was all right. This year's Royal Rumble was, if it wasn't for it, we get it free now on ESPN. ESPN, they have the whole ESPN setup now that if you have cable and you have ESPN as a channel, you get all the stuff in there. So it was this year's Royal Rumble was about as was worth what I paid for it, which is just basically the price of cable. But it wasn't that good. It wasn't that good. Kind of lackluster, but we'll go over that. But first, let's go ahead and say hi to Clone Avenger. Clone Avenger, I got your question the other day when you were talking about Sarah Brightman and her version of Who Wants to Live Forever, and couldn't believe I didn't bring it up. I don't associate that song with her voice. Our conversation that we were having the other night was pretty much based on Highlander in the Queen soundtrack. I know she has sung that song, and I love her version of that song, but I do not associate her version of Who Wants to Live Forever with Highlander. I can't. And it's like the point we were going through the other night. I can't associate any groups or singers versions of any of the Highlander soundtrack songs with Highlander. It's only Queen for me. It's only Queen for me. So yeah, um, I knew of that version, but I don't associate it with Highlander. Now, conversely, there have been other people who have done Phantom of the Opera and done Andrew Lloyd Webber's Phantom of the Opera, and it's really hard for me to accept any other person singing Christine's part other than other than Sarah Brightman. And it's the same thing with Michael Crawford. He was the one I first saw playing it. Robert Guillaume, Benson fame, he played the Phantom, and I couldn't wrap my head around that. So to answer your question, I didn't want to would ignore you, but all right. So I went to my local comic shop and finally got to read Absolute Batman, Absolute Wonder Woman crossover. Um, which one? This one right here or the previous one? They're both good, but this one I actually like this one better than I like the first one. It's a continuation of it, but I really like this one. So which one did you get? Also read the other Absolute books. Wonder Woman is still second place for me. Yeah, it's for me. It's Absolute Batman, Absolute Wonder Woman, Absolute Superman, Absolute Martian Manhunter, Absolute Flash. That's the ones I got in those order. And that's a tall order. They're all good, but those are the ones that are my favorite. So good. Glad to see you broaden your horizons. Let me know what you think about it. Can't wait. Yeah. Once I do my introductions to everybody, we're gonna go in and cover the this year's Royal Rumble, which is yay Roman Reigns and another WrestleMania main event. Wow, that's new. Did you guys read the new Iron Man comic? No, I have it, but I have not read it yet. That definitely feels like the MCU version of Tony, which I'm okay with. Yeah, I've heard that. I sold a couple of them today, but I have not had a chance to read it. I will though. I'll probably read it next week. Hello, Duckman. How you doing? Son of AJ Styles, another victim of Gunther. Problem is that I don't mind him being a career killer. I just don't think he has the charisma to be a top. I really don't either. I thought Gunther shone brighter when he was with Imperium because those other people could articulate. Hold on. Listen to me. Can you not hear me? Very low. Hold on. Check this. How about that? Can you guys hear me now? That's the highest I can get it. Hope I'm not blowing your eardrums out. There we go. Okay. Yeah, Gunther by himself is just doesn't have that. Gunther's like a throwback to where I wish we had managers. We had more managers. Back in the day when you had a big plotting guy like Gunther, you had somebody as his mouthpiece. You had a Bobby Heenan. You had somebody that was that did the talking for them. You had a Paul Heyman or Paulie Dangerously, as he was back then. When you had somebody who had the physical skills and the physical presence, you had, and maybe they didn't know English, maybe their English was bad, or maybe they just weren't good at speaking. You would have somebody like a Bobby Heenan or a Paul Heyman in there. I think that's what Gunther needs because he has all the talent in the world, and he's physically imposing, but it's really hard to really connect with him, especially when you put him up at this level where he's wrestling A-listers, and the buildup is just not good sometimes. But yeah, I agree with that. Well, I mean, it worked for Randy Orton. I don't think him killing Kirill is going to advance him, but it's a fun little gimmick. But it becomes predictable though. Whenever somebody's at the last year of their contract or they've announced their retirement, you pretty much know if they're going to face Gunther at this point that they're going to win. So it kind of takes away of it. Like I knew AJ Styles wasn't going to win that match tonight. So yeah. Let's see. How you doing, Jose? Typical Saturday for me. Nothing special. Oh, did you get in an accident? Is that what you're saying? Oh, good. Well, exactly what you're typing means you're okay. Sorry to hear about that. Hello, it's my favorite Aussie. How you doing? Sean Hickman, 2215. How you doing? Just finished watching UFC 325. Australia's Alexander Volkanovski retained the featherweight championship. Um, cool. Okay, you guys are talking UFC. Can't do it. Let's see. Yeah, rest in peace, Catherine O'Hara, Catherine. I didn't either, but I never watched the show. I mean, whenever somebody passes away, they go through their list of work, and that was one of the main things that they brought up. Or Catherine O'Hara was an After Hours director by Martin Scorsese. Okay, I haven't seen that. Yeah, it just wasn't good, dude. I mean, it just wasn't good. And that's and people ask me, when they ask me, well, why did you like WWE as much anymore as you like I did when I was a kid? This this Royal Rumble pretty much embodies everything that I just has pushed me away. AJ Styles match was embodied his 10 years with WWE. I was disappointed and I was underwhelmed. I mean, I wasn't shocked that they were going to have him job because that's what they're building Gunther up to be. But you look at the amount, and somebody was I was online in a wrestling group, which I need to get out of those. By the way, they're not good for your mental health. But I made the statement that AJ Styles' 2 years in New Japan were better than the entirety of his run in WWE. Somebody gave me the little stupid laughing emoji, and I'm like, and I listed all his moments in the 2 years that he was in New Japan versus the witness protection program that I feel that he's been in since you know since he joined WWE. He had a title run, he had a year-long title run, but it didn't really have I didn't really feel the impact of that title run. And yeah, he wrestled Nakamura, last week before last, but that's a match that should have happened often and sooner than it did. Not at the end of his career. I just wish there had been an AEW. Personally, this is just as a wrestling marks fan. I know people are gonna, WWE drones are gonna come in here and shit on me, but I don't care. I just wish Tony Khan had started up AEW a lot earlier. I think a lot of players that were available or could have made themselves available would have come over, but by the time AEW was set, it was 2018, 2019, and AJ Styles is under long term contract. Because I don't think it would have come down to money. I don't think there's I don't think there's a such thing as Vince or WWE outbidding Tony Khan for talent he actually wants. If they leave AEW, it's not for money; it's for other things. Neither did I. Neither did I. She's not a real. She wasn't an actress that was in stuff that I watched. To be honest with you, she was an actress I knew about and was in stuff that I saw. But she wasn't. I knew of her. I knew her. I knew she was big. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to list unless I had it in front of me. I wouldn't be able to list any of her work outside of Beetlejuice, um, Home Alone, and now Schitt's Creek. Well, one of them I've never seen an episode of, but I that's the thing. When somebody's made an impact. When a person who really didn't see a lot of the stuff she was in, I knew who she was. I knew she was, I knew she was huge. William, you should be watching UFC instead like me and Jose did instead of Royal Rumble. Well, I'm a wrestling person, so that by default I'm going to watch the wrestling event. I'm not a UFC person at all. I'm not a combat sports. I mean, I'm not into boxing anymore. Once all the big names that I could recognize fell to the side, I stopped watching anything. Like I said, I can name you three or four UFC people, and most of them aren't even fighting anymore. I'm just not into UFC. I'm not into boxing. I'm not into any of that stuff. I am into wrestling, so that's even if a dilapidated the Royal Rumble is going to be top for me when it comes to other things. Yeah, yeah. If I were listen, I have no desire for UFC. I have none. So for me, it's an easy choice. For me, it's going to be the worst wrestling show over the any UFC because I don't watch UFC. That's the thing. If I even dabbled casually into UFC, I could see that. I could see me thinking, oh, you know what, this Royal Rumble's kind of a drag. Let me flip on UFC. But I'm not into UFC at all. I mean, at all. I mean, no desire. And I live in the home of or one of the homes of UFC. You starve and near exhaust me. Yes, I did watch Campia win that match. It was a really good match, by the way. That was a match that was on a collision. Their number two show. That was a really good match between wow, why am I blanking? Tim Boys, you know what I'm talking about. I'm blanking. I know his name, but Briscoe, Mark Briscoe. That was a really good match. Briscoe doesn't. Neither one of the brothers, rest in peace, Jay. Um, put on bad matches, singles or otherwise. They've always brought it, and I was surprised that they put the belt on Campa right. That's his first match in a promotion. First match in his promotion. So they must really think high of him. But it was a really good match, and now he's going to be going up against Kyle Fletcher. No hug. I will. Like I said, if you were here in Vegas, I might give you a hug. I'm glad you're okay though. Did I see the Titantron how it changed from Powerhouse? Yeah, yeah. When they mentioned the name and then to Royce Keys, which I'm like, what? Um, he had a nice little showing in the Royal Rumble. I think be honest with you, I think he made for what they do there with their big guys. I think he's a better fit there than he could ever be in AEW. If you look at the talent pool in AEW, he just doesn't fit. And in order to have good matches and have things be credible, things have to flow. But I think Ciampa got a better. He's a better fit for AEW because his style. So I think everybody ended up where they wanted to be. Yeah, they were the Saudi. I don't know if it was all Saudi or people flown in from everywhere else, but they were booing and jeering Triple H during the post game concert conference, and they were screaming Y2J because everybody thought Chris Jericho was going to be there, but he wasn't. Let's see. WWE covered the card and Sean botch with them putting away. I don't know if that was a botch. I just think that was them trying to stick it to AEW. Um, you know, giving his old name and giving what who he is now. So I don't know if that was a botch. I think they did that on purpose. Gunther needed to stay out of the men's Royal Rumble match and be replaced by Carmelo Hayes or Johnny Gargano. Yeah, I mean, once again, he needs a mouthpiece. He's as dry as cardboard, man. Am I still pixelating and freezing? Hold on, let me check. Okay, looks like I'm good now. All right. Yeah, I'm on the good internet tonight, guys. So I should not be doing any of the above. I should look good. I should sound good. William, you shouldn't have put the sleepy time gas in the fourth. Oh no, it's not my style. I mean, I'll get them on a ladder, and then it'll look like an accident. Here, you can trace stuff back to all that. So, well, Matt Cardona was JCW World Champion, but left abruptly for WWE. I guess he's happy with Chelsea Green, and the position seems lower. He's always been. Both of those guys, both him and Chelsea Green, are never. They're just there to get a check, and they're there to have fun while they're doing it. That's all they really are about is having fun, and they never take themselves serious. I don't think he would ever take himself so seriously. He wants the best for his wife. It's a one it's a household financial situation. So if she does well, he does well, vice versa. I'm surprised he signed with WWE. He seemed to always be you know to covet the indie style to wherever he could go, wherever he wanted to make with what he wanted to make. So they must have offered him a decent check to do that. How you doing, Dana, man? All right, cool. Yeah, yeah. I should be on. I should be sounding my best and looking my best. And um, you're 30 minutes into the show when that guy shows up.
Hmm. Yeah.
What's
Right.
up?
Hmm.
Yeah, that match sucked. That match sucked, Ryan. I'm not gonna say that match sucked, but if you told me before Nakamura left for New Japan and when AJ Styles left for New Japan that they would fight 3 years later, and that's the match I got, I would be very disappointed. I would say just don't do it. That was not a good match for them, in my opinion. That's not a top tier match. And when I say top tier AJ Styles, I'm talking AJ Styles, Okada, and Nakamura's at that level, especially in strong styles. Nakamura he's in that atmosphere of the Tanahashis and the Okadas and all the type of people that AJ Styles has fought. So when you tell me AJ Styles is going up against Nakamura anywhere, anytime, I expect a better match. I actually think the match that they just did a week ago was better than the WrestleMania match. So that's just my opinion. But I've been watching AJ Styles since the TNA days. So I consider myself, at least from my opinion, a pretty good gauge of what. I just don't think the last 10 years brought out the best. Now he had some injuries, yeah, and yes, he had a lengthy title reign. But you can have a lengthy title reign and still not be awe inspiring for me. I just that's just how I feel about it. Okay, no, the match ending. Well, they had to do the match ending because if they're gonna build up Gunther as this career killer. Now, what they did with Styles, and we'll go over this down the line when I go into the actual match by match, is he passed out instead of tapping out. There was no point in having John Cena tap out during that last match. That was kind of stupid. Having him pass out and still lose a match, they save face. I don't know why they didn't do that last time, but like I said, it was predictable because I knew how they were building Gunther and how they were, hell, who knows? He might be in the ring with Brock Lesnar because Brock Lesnar said he was retiring at the end of the year, from what I heard. Well, keeping with the theme of anniversaries, do you see WB doing anything in the 10th year anniversary of BBS and Suicide Squad? Those movies still need fresh takes on new genre, other than re-releasing them on physical media with possibly, hopefully added stuff. Other than that, there's nothing else to do. If you're going to put anything additional in any of those, well, BVS you don't need to. BVS is, you have the Ultimate Edition. You can just re-release that. Maybe some hidden stuff but we pretty much analyzed the fuck out of that movie. Obviously with Suicide Squad, you could release David Ayer's version, but this is going to be the only shot and the only reason why you would do so is to make more money off the physical media market if you were going to make enough to make a profit of. Other than that, I don't see any them doing anything beyond that. Brad, do you see them doing anything beyond that? Being this current version of WB.
Well, I mean, there's also the one thing I had kind of on my head a lot is, I mean, I don't think you like think about any future decision with anything with DC to include gun stuff without kind of taking into account, the merger that's upcoming and like where Netflix kind of falls on any given decision. So like a lot of that's going to depend on where's Netflix stand on it. And now the fact that they've said they're maintaining a commitment to theatrical releases, which I don't think they've said specifically where they kind of stand on physical media, but I mean that does kind of suggest to me that probably they're going to maintain the physical media.
Is Warner Brothers going to continue to do what they do in physical media?
So it's pretty much status quo, on that too.
Yeah.
So
Netflix themselves, their IPs and stuff will not be physical media, but Warner Brothers will do the same percentage of everything. Their releases, their movie stuff. They're basically going to be Warner Brothers.
Yeah. So probably I think it's a lot of it's going to boil down to like does Netflix want to do it? And not just with this, like with anything. Like does Netflix? I mean, they're the new, and I think we can write off Paramount pretty safely at this point.
They've been done for quite a while. They just don't know yet.
Yeah, well, like I know you're not big on the whole rumor gossip talk, but I mean, I saw Campia a few weeks ago talking about he said he'd heard from people internally at Paramount that saying things to the effect of like David Ellison's humiliating the company.
They're making fun of him. That's not a rumor.
It's like that doesn't sound like
stockholders have actually openly talked about. They're basically. They're using words like pathetic and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And just go away. 93% of the stockholders are already for that. I don't know who the 7% are, but at this point, it's
probably
it's
friends
really,
of Ellison's.
Pretty much, or people who I don't know, but I when it comes to your question, Dan, I think you're going to get physical releases of some really cool stuff with the physical re-releases and things like that, the anniversary editions. The only reason that would make that relevant is if they added stuff. I just don't know what they're going to add, and my expectations are low.
Now, also like with BBS, that's really soon as far as because that's the end of March. So if they're going to do like a physical media re-release, because Suicide Squad they have that 10th anniversary is in August, but when you talk about like a 10th anniversary release, does that have to coincide to like the exact time in that year, or does it have to just generally be through that calendar year?
It can, but it usually doesn't have to be, simply because when you release a commemorative edition, it says 2016 to 2026. It doesn't give them months. So whoever's picking it up is not going to be month specific. And a lot of people, this may be their first copy of picking any of these things up. So it's not going to matter to them. But
so I think I certainly think that Zack Snyder and David Ayer like have commemorative plans involved. I mean, they can't like unilaterally do like physical media release, but a lot of things now. I'm just hesitant to commit to like any kind of hypothesis until we kind of like know more about like where Netflix's headspace is.
Well, I don't think Netflix is going to interfere. If Warner Brothers proper wants to do it, I don't think Netflix, because Netflix sounds like they're just going to let them do. Because remember, the thing about the advantage of having Netflix do this is they know what they don't know. This is a complementary business. Now, if it was Paramount's an overlapping business, so the decision making would be skewed. It sounds like Netflix knows that they don't know this, and that there's people that are in place that they're just going to let them do their thing. So if Warner Brothers decided now, for me, if you're going to celebrate BVS or not even BVS, but Suicide Squad at all, if you're going to do anything other than rehash and bring back the same thing that was 10 years ago, then you may as well add other stuff to it that that people would covet to make it sell. Otherwise, if I already got a copy, with physical media being where it is right now, you just releasing the Suicide Squad that I saw back in 2016.
Let's say that's a carrot. Yeah,
I
mean, well, and that's a carrot to put out to people. It's like, hey, here's the version you haven't seen. Here's the director's cut you haven't seen. So that's the as far as the
that's your only
commemorative re-release. That's the hook to do it. It's like, hey, here's stuff you haven't seen. With BVS, like we don't really have that because we have the the director's cut out there. We had.
By the way, Ayer cut guys, this is it. This is it. This is the only business reason to do this. After 2016, it makes no sense. So if we're going to get the Ayer cut, I can't believe if we roll around to 2027 that it's ever going to happen. If it doesn't happen this year, and I could be 100% wrong, but I can't fathom any reason going forward that where they would release this. It has to be in 2026, 10th anniversary. Makes all sense in the world. It's not going to cost you anything. You have that version. Slap it on that Blu-ray. And put a different cover out on it. Put a Joker, put it and slap it out. Otherwise, if we roll into 2027, because right now, prior to 2026, there was no reason to put out.
And by the way, where's Gunn in all this? I mean, because he, apparently, I mean, per David Ayer, they had a meeting, said, okay, I support you on doing this. Let me get some wins on the board. And it's like, okay, Gunn, you got your wins on the board. You're going to keep your end of the bargain.
Whatever came of that meeting, even if Gunn said, this is something I would want to do, the money people are going to be like, why? Now, unless you're going to incorporate that version into what you're doing, which he's not, because he's got his own, he pretty much transitioned his Suicide Squad into what he's doing. So if Gunn could be on board with it, but if Gunn comes to me and say, hey, I want to release the Ayer cut, my question is, his boss would be like, why are, post 2026? For the next 8 or 9 months, that's when it should come out and release the version we got, which made a lot of money, but release that other one. It costs you nothing. You have it. It costs you nothing to make Blu-rays. But I got a feeling that if it doesn't happen in 2026, the case for it starts to dissolve. And I want to see it's not a case, unfortunately. And especially with him taking his own Suicide Squad and going further and folding things into what he's doing. But if you're going to get the Ayer cut, I'm guessing it would be this year. It would be this year, because after this year goes, the case becomes harder. The case becomes hard because it doesn't even make sense as an Elseworld, because the end result of it is either what you got going forward as the movie was presented, or lead you to something else that, like I said, if we're not going to bring that nightmare timeline to fruition, I don't need.
Well, here, and the other thing is that it's if they don't this year, if they still stonewall this, this is maybe a little tinfoil hat of me, but I think Ayer might just leak it. I think he might just throw up his hands and say, it's like, I'm done sitting on all this.
That's gonna be. I don't think he'll do that, because he for the trouble. It's not worth the trouble. It's not worth the trouble.
I mean, we've seen stuff like this before. We've seen, like, Ryan Reynolds leak the Deadpool footage and Like look at
was,
that where that
that's a
led to.
different situation. That's a different situation completely.
It's
That's
like
not
I mean
even-
this might sound tinfoil hats. Like I would put money on this.
No, it's not
tonight.
just temple hat. It's career suicide.
No, I would put money on this tonight if they can keep stonewalling him on this
It's
after
not even
this.
stonewalling.
If he has to if he's still putting this, I see him leaking that or someone connected to it leaking it.
I think.
I mean, I mean, there are big clips already that have leaked from it. It's like I just don't see like if they decide we're going to keep in this vault, like something is going to happen, like leak stuff out from that. It's
it's not going to be by him though. It might be by some other stooge, but somebody who's still working in the business and who still could be doing films with Warner Brothers and can still be doing films with other people that are involved with this distribution. You wouldn't do something like that. I could see someone stupid doing it, but not somebody who's professional.
You're breaking up, man.
These things happen.
He broke up there, man.
Why? I'm on good internet. Yeah, I saw it spins when it does that. I don't know what the fuck. Even the best internet shit. But no, I don't see him doing it. I don't see him doing it now. Whether it happens or not, because like I said, now talking about.
I mean, Zach was talking about like I'm just gonna. Zach himself like talked to that like for he played around with the idea of like just leave it on like a flash drive and like let someone find it in an airport bathroom. So it's like. And if Ayer's been like stewing all this negativity around this, is like I can't write off the idea that his frustration is just would be such where he says, "Okay, screw it." I think you're frozen.
Unprofessional would do that. What the fuck?
You're frozen. Frozen pixelated there, man. Nope, now he's gone. Okay, William's gonna be back in a minute. You guys got me for right now. Let's see what else you guys got. Well, William, we wait on him. Fantastic Four versus Planet of the Apes comic book coming out February 6th. Or February 4th. Any thoughts on? Okay, you look better now.
Yeah, it's StreamYard. It's not even the internet. It's StreamYard. So I'm at the mercy.
You were really pixelated there too.
Okay, but I'll put a lid on the whole Ayer thing. I don't think he would ever do that. The Zack Snyder situation is completely different. And you're talking about somebody that has a working relationship. Even Zack Snyder did that. She said that jokingly. I'm going to leave it on the bathroom sink or something like that. But no, I don't think Ayer. Now, could it happen? Yeah, but I don't think it's going to be Ayer that does it. Plus, especially now, like I said, you would really, really, really damage your credibility. And plus, you'd get sued. So yeah, don't do that here. I think what about the odds of it coming out this year? I would say 30-70, and that's high odds. That's some good odds. There's no reason not to. It doesn't affect the current universe. It's not going to go forward from that universe, but it makes no sense unless, like I said, now you get an announcement from James Gunn and Zack Snyder sitting side by side in front of a Rick and Morty poster or some shit like that, says, you know what? We're going to finish the timeline. Now you can go beyond 2016 as far as it being a relevant business decision because it leads right into that. Other than that, no, I think we're on, we got another 10 months of this being justifiable as putting it out. All right. I hope it's a fucking StreamYard. Dude, StreamYard, fix your shit. I don't know how many times I have to keep saying this. Anyway, all right. Well, you brought up something before.
Where's that news? Now you're freezing again, man. Fantastic Four versus Planet of the Apes comic book coming out February 4th. Any thoughts on the release of this comic from Marvel? I was not aware of this.
It'll do just as well as Godzilla versus the Marvel Universe and all that. It's been doing that kind of stuff. Has been doing well for me when those kind of IPs, just based on name value. So I don't know how good it'll be, but these other ones have been doing well for me. I have not read any of them, by the way. But yeah, I am aware of it. I've ordered it. I have the Planet of the Apes coming. I have it as seen on TV section over there, and my tourists go right to it. So I have to. Based on the IPs, the Godzillas, the King Kongs, and all these other ones that they've been putting out the last year, I think it's going to do well, just based on that. Okay. Yeah, that's another reason. He's just not gonna do that. He's just not gonna do that. I mean, hacks would do that. Fanboys would do that. Professionals would especially professionals currently working in the company that
Hmm.
you would be doing that to. Internet YouTubers would do some stupid shit like that.
I mean,
He's gonna
if
do
it's
that.
not him, it's going to be somebody. I mean, I just don't see it not
Exactly.
leaking.
And like I said, somebody might do it, and if it gets traced back to them, they're going to get fucked up. That's a $500,000 minimum fine right there, and then you're going to get sued for IP. You better be like with those anonymous guys that wear the geek box, the mask,
Yeah.
and never get caught. It better be them, because if you get caught, that's your ass. And I doubt that whoever gets caught doing it can afford, because that's an open and shut case. Copyright infringement, you're done. So, but like I said, I mean, I hope it comes out on the re-release. I don't see a reason for it not to. But it's not my IP. That would be the best time, unless you are going to go further with the storyline. If you're going to complete that arc, then it makes sense beyond that. But without the nightmare timeline being resolved, it doesn't make any sense right now. And especially for a movie that they took their shot on and they made a lot of money. That movie made almost 800 million. Or did they make over 800
It's
million?
730, something like that.
Yeah. More than I thought that movie was gonna make. More than I thought the movie was gonna make. And that's the hacked up version of it. So man, I hated Suicide Squad. Did you hate the Suicide Squad? Or did you hate Suicide Squad
I wasn't.
2016?
I
Gotta
didn't like.
clarify.
I didn't like the second one that much. I didn't hate it,
I
but I
like the
mean,
second one.
so I thought it was no, it wasn't. It didn't do a lot for me.
That was the movie that let me know that he could actually do DC stuff. Because what he did in Marvel didn't mean anything for me as far as what he could do with a DC character.
Yeah.
So that was the one.
Yeah,
that
the
told
Marvel
me,
work is.
okay.
I think the Guardians franchise is actually very overrated. It's that's why I was never that
I
big
agree.
again.
I will agree with this point. You take the MCU where the MCU was when Guardians of the Galaxy came out. I don't even think you even get to past the concept phase of it. But I think a lot of it, where people say overrated, I agree to a certain extent, is because of the fact it was riding a tidal wave of a
Yeah, it was during that was phase
fuck.
2, or that was phase 2 when the first one came out.
Yeah,
We
the movie
were
were 9 or
quickly.
10, so
It was the 10th movie. I think it was the 10th movie in the franchise. I mean, really, it's like, I mean, there's a lot of Marvel. This speaks to I think the strength of their marketing. I mean, there's a lot of MCU movies. I don't think are that good, but I mean, they're so carried on the momentum of what the seeds they plant for what the big crossover events that come up next. So and of course, yeah, we can't discuss anything DC related without this gentleman showing up.
this is the easiest. This Donovan, this is even you, because I know you've had, and I've actually this. I don't know how you get so many people with different things I've had to trace back to find out that they're different people. But here you go. Whatever Donovan says, this is the easiest question that I'm gonna probably get for the whole night. Money. They're in business to make money. They are a retailer. They sell stuff. So I'll read this out. Also, why would WB want to acknowledge films from DC's past when they're moving forward? Here's the thing, and this is not just towards Donovan. And I need you guys to use Scott Snyder as a blueprint to this thinking. This archaic way of this one universe at a time thing, and this is not towards anyone in particular. So what I'm about to say is fucking stupid. It always has been. And I'll repeat it slower for the people in the back. This one universe at a time, and we can't do anything else because we're doing this thing, is fucking stupid. It is stupid on the paper and on screen. It is stupid anywhere proposed, and it has been costly to DC. I can't think of any train of thought over the last 36 to 38 years that has cost DC more fans and continuity than this mentality that people have bought into, that why would they want to do this when they can do that? Because that is your job as a creator. DC's DNA for 80-something years has been this. DC's at its best. I'm going to mute you. DC's at its best when they're being DC. So, first part into your question, money. DC not acknowledging their diversity in their stories and their universe has fucked DC. On every level DC exists. So that's the answer to the one question. So that, and it's cost them money. Now you see when DC is embracing Absolute Universe, Normal Universe, Elseworlds Universe, DC Black Label. Now you're starting to see DC be in a place where it should have been the last 30 some odd years. When DC wasn't doing so great is because they would move one storyline out of the way for another because they thought as fans we couldn't tell the difference. Oh my God, we're illiterate and we can't read. We can't tell the difference between one universe or another. Oh wow, I mean, what am I gonna do if something that looks like, wait, I got two giant lizards that released 4 months from each other in Godzilla? Nobody had a problem. This is the problem with taking your fans for fools. We're not stupid. Fans may do stupid things, but hey, we are generally not stupid. Counterintuitive? No. Counterintuitive is the one thing at a time shit. Because you're assuming that what you're laying down is something I even want. And if you've destroyed something else to get to that, even before you lay it down, I probably don't care. I'm probably going to be apathetic to it. So I don't know a more vivid way to answer this question because it's getting better now. Because even in James Gunn, you have a guy that could probably entertain a lot of different things. I don't think he is a one universe at a time guy. Because he didn't grow up in that. He grew up in that era where they were screwing this up. He's a Gen Xer just like I am. So no, this one universe at a time, and I'm glad slowly but surely DC is loosening its death grip on that bonehead mentality. Because it has been destructive to them. Let's see. Fantastic Four for damn, Clint didn't put that on me.
And actually, Clint, yes, we got Godzilla -0 at the end of the year, so there is and then there's the next Godzilla and Kong, I think next March, so it's about the same intervals between last time with -1 and Godzilla and Kong New Empire. So yeah, we got more giant lizards coming very soon.
Personally, I doubt the cut would just because I doubt the cut is ever going to get released. And not just because of anything animosity. It just doesn't make any sense. See, don't confuse it whether I would want to see the air cut to whether it would make sense for the people laying down money to do it for a movie that they made their money on. Made a lot of money on that. I can't believe that movie. If it doesn't make sense, then unless, like I said, now Gunn says I want to revisit that and extend. Yeah, then you're going. But in the current context of things, if you're not going to finish that storyline, the Nightmare Joker ever again, then why do I need to see? That was the whole purpose for me for bringing those characters in. That was all connected to that. Now I'd love for you to finish the arc, but if you're not going to finish the arc, put it on the Blu-ray. Put it on the Blu-ray. Work print. You can give me a work print. It doesn't even have to be a complete print. If you say, hey, I don't want to spend any money, hell, Blade Runner, there's a work print of Blade Runner.
Well, and it's also
people love it.
What's been reported on that is like it's this current status of Ayer's cut is that it's closer to the finish line than Zach's was when his was greenlit. Like Zach, they put about 70 million and not all that was finishing it. There was also stuff they added to it, like they put the original Steppenwolf design in. You filmed some new scenes, but there was more to do at like the green light stage of the Snyder cut than there is for the Ayer cut. It's kind of give some context from what's the reporting that's out there on it.
I mean, oh yeah, back. People are in the chat and you can't hear me. I'll be all right.
Okay, you guys got me again. Yes, Godzilla -1. Yes, exactly. Anyway, that's history's gonna repeat itself because now we got Godzilla -0 and the next Godzilla versus Kong. I mean, literally in the same time frame. So it'll be coming up. Jesus, Donovan. It's like, what do you want? It's like you are so threatened by anything Snyder related or DA related. And you screenshot every single thing I type or write about this. Dude, get a life. Get a damn life. Yeah, I agree, Aaron. Definitely agree. What else we got here? I guess YouTubers are released images. Well, those images a lot of those gotten pulled. Well, a lot of them also are just like, I mean, there's stuff that's out there from like when they were filming it that's like, you can't put that genie back in the bottle. So I mean, there's always going to be like images from Batgirl that when it was being made that just like, it's out there. You can't unrelease that. Guardians Volume 1 is the only good one. I thought, and again, this is me saying I think I'm not into the Guardians movies. The one I liked the most actually probably was 2. I probably would rate them from like weakest to strongest. I probably would rate them like 3, 1, and 2. That's how I would probably rate the Guardians movies.
All right, I've gone to shitty internet. Hopefully, I think the spot AT&T internet is trash tonight, and it's been trash for a while. So I think I'm actually on the shittier internet. So hopefully that, if you guys can still, I was watching myself.
You look pretty clear now, and you sound pretty clear now.
I'm using the shittier internet, and I got
this. Using the shitty internet, it looks good. That's crazy.
Sad. Listen, and once again, dude, can we? Okay. We is me. I want you guys to look up right now. If you guys look up on the left, there's a cartoonish face, and it looks a lot like me. That's the host. That's me. That's who comes up with the topics. That's who decides who we're going to talk with a little input from you guys, as much as possible. The one on the right there, above his head, that's the co-host. The only other person who would dictate any of that, other than and then the chat, if we're going right, is him. What we decide to talk about is what we talk about. We don't have to move on from shit. We're not. It's not even Snyder dominated topic. It was intertwined in the question that was being asked. But if I wanted to go 6 hours talking Snyder, that's what we would do. Now you, as the consumer or as the audience member, have a decision to make. If that's not for you, then there's a little X on the upper right-hand side there. If you click it, I go away. And my Kermit the Frog voice and my Cookie Monster voice goes away. You don't have to hear it. And there's another little red screen with a white little arrow on it. If you click on that, it's called YouTube. And you start your own channel and you talk about whatever you want. But we talk about what we talk about here, period. Conversation goes where it goes. If the conversation is not going where you want it to go, then go away, man. I'm sorry. All right. Melania's getting review bombed. That sounds about right.
Yeah. Actually, what did I see?
Did you go see that? Is that
no? I didn't. I went and saw Send Help actually the other night. But it's an interesting story because I was a little bit late in the theater, so the ticket they gave me didn't have the auditorium number on it. So I actually they sent me like the 10th one, but it wasn't playing in there. So I was kind of like bouncing around trying to find it. And then one of the ones I walked into was playing Melania, and I go like halfway down the hallway, the auditorium, and I hear her voice, and I could tell what it is. Like, okay, no, it's like I'm not spending my Friday night watching Melania documentary. So I like momentarily wandered into that, but no, I'm not gonna see that. And Brett Ratner, it's like apparently this is his big comeback story is Melania.
I don't even know how she even got a movie today. All right. No, he does not have my undivided attention. He had about a couple seconds of my time, and that's only because I wanted to explain to anyone watching that I started my own channel to talk about whatever the fuck I wanted to talk about.
And
I've
even if you're
invited you guys to the conversation.
and even if you're not going to start your own channel, YouTube is full
There's other
of
YouTubers.
channels talking about all things DC. Some of them are talking about Snyder stuff. Some are talking about gun stuff. And there's everything in between. It's not that hard to find channels that are like we're gravitating more towards the gun stuff.
Yeah, I'm not really a dominant channel one way or another. All right, so let's get into the music topic. 30 years ago, I cannot fucking believe that this album was 30 years ago. My goodness. The 90s are just going further and further away. Tool's Aenema. If you found another Tool fan, I mean, Clint in the chat is a probably one of the biggest ones I know in the modern era. I mean, in the mid '90s, it was huge. Let's see. So we're going to go. All right, so I am going to put the entire album in the chat for you, and we're gonna go down because I'm not playing any of the songs because I don't feel like getting strike. Here we go, bam. All right, bam. There we go. All right, that's the full album. This is actually a pretty good album. I had it all up, and then I got out of StreamYard because I was trying to figure out what was going. Yeah, when I have the show set up, I have the show ready to go, and then I got to restart everything because either the internet or StreamYard is not doing their thing after all this. By the way, I pay a decent amount of money for both. Some bullshit. All right. So, it's got 15 tracks on it. That you got your money's worth. Stink Fist. I Not much more I need to say about this song. Eulogy. H, one of the best songs that they've done. Useful Idiot. 46 plus 2. Excellent song. Message to Harry Manback. Once again, I'm not going to explain these songs to you. Number 7, I guess I gotta say it because it is the title of the song. Hooker with a Penis. There goes our money. Intermission. Jimmy. Dyer, Von Satan. Push It. Cesaro. Some ability. Aenema, which is the wide release. And Third Eye. This is a pretty lengthy album for the era. The title track is my favorite on here. Now, I know for those of you so you might have different for all you junkies with short memories, that 30 years is a long time, dude. For me, when it comes to Tool, this is just personal, and music is going to be different than for everyone because how songs hit you. Undertow is the best that they've ever done. I think Undertow has all the songs that strike me lyrically and melodically. I love that album. This album's, what's the word I'm looking for? It's abrasive. There you go. Abrasive, and not only in its themes, its sound. Undertow is like opera. Aenema is a fight. When you're listening to this album, you feel like you're in a fight, like you're in a pit. Just listening to this one is more like you're getting punched upside your fucking head. The content and the subject matter escalates from Undertow. There are some related themes in Undertow that this song takes the it takes the lid off. And it has some of the more graphic lyrics that you could actually play on a radio. It creeps right up to that line. It creeps right up to that line. It doesn't cross that line. It doesn't cross that, well, we got to wait till 9 p.m. to play your shit. No, it actually is like right there. But yeah, the title track on this one is my favorite one. But like I said, I have it in the the chat for those of you, because there's a lot of you who have never heard some of the bands that we're talking about. Tool is a band that I think you should experience. It was the classification that they were in at the time. I don't even know if it's the correct time. It was industrial. Like they were up, I think they missed class, but I don't even know. I don't know what a better alternative. I mean, other than alternative. Um, but yeah, they were right in that mid '90s, just really machine where we were, the industries were putting out the best music. From I always say from 1993 to 1998, it's the best 5 years of my life of music. Tool was one of those bands that made it that way. The post grunge, slightly industrial era. Tool was Tool was a big part of that. This album, like I said, rhythmically is harder for me to enjoy than Undertow, but I still can because there's still songs on here. It's just that if you gave me it would be Undertow between the two, but it's it's something else. It's like I said, when I say escalation, that's the best word I can say from one to another. Just heard some of the album and the band's no pun intended, awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They had something to say. They had something to say. Um Watching Tool reactions on YouTube is fun. Not one person dislikes Tool. Yeah, and there was a video out there because a lot of people just listen to the music. They don't really the lyrics. They hear the lyrics, but they don't really put two and two together. A lot of people do that with songs. They just love the song. They love the way it sounds. Everything like that. Now, when you start getting into some of Tool's meanings, what they're saying, and you say you've been listening to them for a couple of years, you're like, oh, that's what it meant. Ah, I see now. Um, some of the titles to their songs tell you everything you need to know. But yeah, people, like I said, they're a rough band. Like I said, but one album with Undertow, it's like an opera. It's like a rhythmic opera. This album is like literally somebody coming into the theater or the opera house, pulling you out of your seat, dragging you into the aisle, and just beating the shit out of you. That's what album is. So, um, yeah. I've been to a Tool concert before. The concert and the light show is incredible. Yeah, yeah. They were out here. They've come out here. I have not had a chance to see Tool live, but I have. You can watch them online. You can see them in the videos. They have a really good, and they have for I think Aenema, they extend there's a drum, not a drum solo. It's where he's singing, and the only thing you hear about dun, 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 and it's a certain length in the actual song. But when you watch them on concert, they extend it and they got the light show going with it. So it's like when you're watching a digital song play and how it jumps up. That's what the light show is doing. I've heard nothing but good things about them in concert. I hope I get a chance to see them live. They're on the bucket list. Tool's first album, Opiate, is underrated as hell, and he's like, yeah, it is, yeah, it is. Listening to that and then listening to this one, you see the progression. It's more of a harder edge, closer to Undertow than Anima, but it's a harder edge. And hey, a lot of bands' first albums are underrated. I mean, you look at Smashing Pumpkins' first album, I mean, and then you look at like, Bleach for Nirvana. Uh, a lot of albums, a lot of groups. It's that second album that gets it for them, that gets in the mainstream. So yeah, let's see. Who knew I'd come to a black man's channel and learn about Tool? So I listened to a lot of stuff. I grew up in LA, and we had, and I grew up. Not only did I grow up in LA, I grew up in the MTV era. And I was exposed to a lot of different things that if I would have born in a different decade and maybe a different city, that I wouldn't have been exposed to. My parents were Motown people. through and through. Motown. My parents grew up when Motown was the powerhouse when it comes to, and music stations and music. I've said this before. Music stations and everything else were split up into demographics because they didn't think they could make, the rock and heavy metal people didn't think they could make money off of black folks, and vice versa. It wasn't necessarily as racist as it could have been. It's just they didn't see an audience. And some of it was racism, but some of it was just fear. Like David Bowie, I always bring up the fact that
Why did you
David
have more
Bowie
black
was
artists on here?
yeah, when David Bowie was poor Mark Goodman being sacrificed to the lambs because he just happened to be the face of MTV sitting there, and that's what happened. But once MTV broke through and started doing that, and plus I got my own radio, I got my own TV, I could listen to these things. And when I went to school, I was exposed to in Southern California, you had everything. So, for me, I knew those stereotypes were out there, but I just didn't buy into them. I just didn't buy into them, and you start learning the history of the music, and we're like, one of the smarter things Ted Nugent ever said, because he's kind of crazy. He said if there were a Mount Rushmore of electric guitar, only one white guy would be on it, and that's the Les Paul because he invented the thing. That's his words. So when you go back to blues, jazz, and then you bleed into heavy metal, a lot of those guys, their influences. You had Hendrix, you had Bo Diddley, you had Chuck Berry. So the more I embraced the history of the shit I was listening to, the more it was mine. So now it's gotten to the point when, and then by the time I reached the '90s, shit, I mean, alternative music belonged to anybody who wouldn't pick it up and play it. And Tool was right in my wheelhouse. First time I ever saw Tool is when I got back from basic training in AIT. It's in the winter of 1993. That's the very first time I saw Sober. And it wasn't just the song. The song was amazing. That video for Sober was revolutionary. Prison Sex was the same thing. I can't even believe we can say prison sex and not get demonetized. And that song is demonetization for 2 minutes. But the videos that they were doing, the stop motion and the figures and stuff, that was revolutionary for 1993. And that got me. Their videos looked how they sounded. If I were to think about what Tool, if I'm listening to Tool without a video, their videos, exactly what I envisioned. So I really, but Sober there was nothing going on like that in 93. 93, we were still in the grunge era. We hadn't quite got to the post grunge era with the grunge guys doing their second albums, and then other bands like Smashing Pumpkins taking their height yet. What Tool was doing was, like I said, and it was kind of like that mid-industrial stuff, the Marilyn Manson, the Nine Inch Nails, those type of things, but they were doing it differently. That's why I really have a hard time saying industrial rock when it comes to Tool, because there was more to it than what they were doing. So yeah, that was 93. I was like 19. I mean, I'm like, my mind is still forming around music, and this shit was here. This is a good shit, man. Let's see. I feel like children of military parents were exposed to way more than civilian children.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that one up.
Yeah, and listen, you're looking at two examples, in my opinion, of that. And then I extended it further by actually joining the military, and it was ever more true there. Yeah, because whatever stereotypes that you have, whether it be culturally, musically, entertainment wise, they don't stand up with what I call the truth of presence. You can't really say something about a different ethnic group or their type of music a lot of times when you can just walk over it and, hey, what are you listening to? I'm on base housing. I can literally, if I hear somebody playing a guitar, there's no stereo. I can just walk over there. And in certain neighborhoods, you got certain neighborhoods are segregated, or certain influences are segregated. Base housing, it's not. You got people from all over the world. You got people from all over the nation because they're stuck to wherever you're at. So some guy from Tennessee or some guy from New York is living right next door to each other. He's got a garage band playing, and you can hear it. You walk over and grab a stool and sit down, and that's all you needed. So yeah, I would agree. Like I said, there's a lot of factors. Me growing up, where I grew up, when I grew up, and how I grew up. So yeah, it all came together. I'm grateful. I think it was one of the things I'm most grateful for my dad and my parents doing is getting into a situation to where I never grew up in an atmosphere with those kind of stereotypes. That's a gift that I hope to, if I have kids, to give to them. Let's see. I think everybody was listening. We just didn't commune. A lot of people listen. More people listen to shit that you don't think that they listen to, and they don't say anything because they don't want to be judged. Like if you listen to a certain, if you're in a black household or a white household, it's not as bad as it was. You're right, not as bad as it was now, or bad as it was back when I was a kid. But a lot of people just didn't say anything because, oh, you listen to that shit. What are you doing? What are you doing? Nowadays it's with social media and everything else and just integration, it's not that big a deal. But I got a lot of heat for listening to heavy metal. I got a lot of heat to listen to heavy metal. I got the black people walk up to fuck you. It's not your money. It's not your lawnmower, money that you're using to buy a fucking, not the tape, by the way, mind you, not the actual tape with the music on it, to get the mix, to get the blank TDK tape, so I could take it to school and get the shit put on there. That's how broken it was when I was a kid. So, but yeah, you had a lot of it, but we've broken that up now. Now people just listen to whatever the fuck they want to. So I'm glad we've gotten there. This was a song you were telling me about. This is the song you were telling me about today, because Clint is why I picked this. He's why I picked this thing, because I was looking for a music topic in 1996. Is it's much of the much as the anniversary of 1986 goes. Hold on, I'm gonna put that. I'm gonna put this song in here. And it's from Tool's actual website. So that's a 9-minute song. I forgot how long that song was. A lot of it's instrumental, but so here we go. I wish there was a way where I just couldn't get capped for playing music, because it's really hard. I know we could probably do it through Twitch. You know what? I think I'm going to start doing that. Just setting up the Twitch stream so that we can say, hey, listen to this. Because trying to explain to you music, it just feels like I'm handicapped in a way. Let's see. Yeah, Motown. Yeah, I grew up with my parents were baby boomers.
Yeah, my dad, his whole side of the family is from Detroit.
Yeah, so my parents were from New Jersey, but if you were black living in America in the 50s and 60s, Motown was what you were listening to, unless you were Hendrix, or unless you were, and even those guys. Well, a lot of the things that the soul and R&B and the jazz, if you listen to the stuff that would grow into heavy metal, it may not sound like it, but every time I see an interview with a Tony Iommi or Pete Townsend or any of these guys where their influences came from, they say jazz and the blues / all of them. So there's a line that draws all that together. So it's kind of weird. When somebody first told me that, I'm like, what? What do you mean? How's the Master of Puppets? What are you talking about? But they explain it to you and you listen. Once you that you start hearing shit. Let's see if you like progressive metal. If you like progressive metal, prog metal, progressive metal, check out Opeth, Catatonia, Persephone, Nevermore, and Eternity. Okay. Let's see. We're gonna get to this. I couldn't do death metal, man. I tried. My brain can't do death metal. It can't do death metal. I'm not saying death metal is bad, but I gave it a shot, and I'm like, I feel like I'm not in the car. I'm hanging on to the bumper. I'm hanging on to the license plate, trying not to die listening to it. But it's a big influence. Let's see. I have both eras of Kill Switch and Cage. All right, Son of William, that's true. Time after played on this radio, and these guys who listen to rap or reggae said, wait, I like the song. Yeah, I mean, and it, like I said, that's why that's another thing we're going to be covering before the year's out. Is I've covered it before with Rick Rubin and Run DMC and Aerosmith. That was a permission slip to listen to the other side. That MTV in that video for a lot of people made it okay to be able, shit, Run DMC's on there. There's my hip hop. Well, Aerosmith's on there. There's my, and then they're listening, and then MTV played the shit out of that song. That song was on twice an hour, it felt like. And most people didn't even know that "Walk This Way" was like an old ass Aerosmith song, because if you were from a demographic, you may not be listening to the AM Gold Radio and Aerosmith. And white folks back then were not listening to Run DMC. They were not.
Yeah.
I promise you, were not listening to Run DMC. But after that came out, Run DMC, Raising Hell, that shit shot into the atmosphere. And Aerosmith, who was pretty much already done, they had a career and they had broken up and they were struggling to sell albums up to that point. They had broken up and reformed the original line of the band. And after that, Permanent Vacation, Pump, Get a Grip, dude, they had an entire second half of their career that most people, that second half of Aerosmith's career, most people don't even have that for an entirety of their career. And I think it was because Rick Rubin had the vision to see that. And he's a 1 in a million dude that did that. He looked back because of his upbringing. He grew up in Brooklyn. He grew up in Brooklyn with teams like Beastie Boys. That was one of his groups, Run DMC. But he also grew up, listening to rock and roll. So his imagination was out there somewhere. I like certain reggae. I can listen to certain reggae. I can't get into the flow of it, but man, it's, people love it. Okay. Tool versus thank you for the $5 super chat.
Tool versus Foo Fighters versus Smashing Pumpkins. Yossi.
That's a big variety.
I mean, I like pretty much all these bands. Yeah.
Weezer. Oh, dude. All right. So I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna take multiples. I can't go without Weezer. I can't go without Smashing Pumpkins. So those two are on my list. I love Tool, but I can't trade them out for Weezer or Garbage. And Red Hot Chili Peppers, I could switch out. They have some songs, but I'd rather not get rid of any of them. If I had a choice,
Yeah, me too.
If I had to dump one, it's gonna be one. Thank you for the $5. Somebody just messaged me. Hold on for a second. Hold on. Here's the thing. Hold on. I have a lot of crazy shit going on. Here it is. Oh, I see why I was messing up the battery. So. Okay, I see what's going on. I think I might have fixed my problem. All right, here we go. All right, the score. That was a multi-platinum album. All right, when I was in school, black people didn't talk like the hood. Black people that didn't talk like the hood, we were made fun of for being a sellout. Oh yeah, you may have missed this issue of the show when I covered this. I see some remnants of that Generation Z, but at large, the stigma is lessening. It's lessening. It should be gone. It should be gone. That is one of the things I can keep my cool under a lot of different circumstances. But where I fight to lose my shit is when something like this happens, and then, like I said, you grow up with it. Especially in the old days, where just regular phone, people call you up on the phone, so the email, they hear your voice, they hear your sentence structure, and you meet them. And I've gone over this, but I won't go too much in it because I want to remain calm and happy on a Saturday night. You can say nothing worse to a black person than to say like you sound white. I've often said, and I won't use the word on here because we've already lost money on this stream just by mentioning half of Tool's songs. But yeah, you may as well call me the N-word. And even if most of the people who do it don't even mean it, but it doesn't. The damage isn't less when you do that. And a lot of black folks would do it too. You sell those him? I'm like, no, it's the English language. It's free. They literally give it away in schools. You have to pay for it. Just show up. There's books. You open them up. You learn how to read. learn how to write, you do all this stuff. Now, depending on where you came up and in the school system, things like that, but that's an indictment on that. But you should. I've had several people. Like you said, less and less over the years. I've had to do it less because you have a new generation coming up that doesn't have those stereotypes fixated into them. They didn't grow up with it. My generation and some of the other ones around us, closer to our generation, my question to the person who would say that, when they would do this stuff like this, what were you expecting? That pretty much shuts that shit down right there and there. So yeah. We've gotten better though. I am grateful that we've gotten better. We still got some hangups, but we've gotten better. Lateralus is about the perfect ratio. Okay. I got it in there. Thank you for the follow-up super chat.
Aaron says, I'm really into Rob Zombie. Yeah, me too. Yeah, again.
Rob Zombie, yes. Disturbed, not at all.
Come on, simpatico. I'm telling you, guys, no DNA test necessary.
Stop.
No, it's not.
Sublime 96 was, that's after Brad Nolan passed away. That's when they were hit. That was 2 years into their big run. What I got.
Aaron also asked, William, were you into Screamo metal?
No. Sorry. Let's see. I missed the 90s where you struggled musically to classify a band and artist. There was like, because you didn't know what the hell to call it. You had people, even the people who were doing grunge in the early 90s, their second and third albums were on grunge. Soundgarden's album after the grunge era ended was not grunge. It wasn't what, Bad Motorfinger and all those other things were. In Utero was not Nevermind. Versus was not 10. Those are the groups that originated the grunge era, right? But as you saw their songs go on, you listen to Pearl Jam's second album, I believe it's their best album. And I don't feel that the definition of what was determined by all those bands as grunge, they progress. So, and then you had Smashing Pumpkins come in, then you had Tool come in, you had a post grunge era, which is basically an alternative. The blanket term for that music is alternative, but you break it. There's different categories of that because what Tool, Marilyn Manson, those guys wasn't just alternative. There was the distinct sound, a subset that they had. Groups like Smashing Pumpkin were not grunge. They were like almost like post-punk. I don't even know what you'd call them. Stone Temple Pilots, technically, they came up to the grunge era, but they were further along. They were where those second grunge album practitioners were being. They started with Core. I think Core is their first album. When you hear Core, it has some influences, but they're going in an entirely different direction. Bush was another one. Bush came out in the grunge era. That right at the end, '94 was when 16 Stone was released. But their albums subsequent from that sound nothing like their first album. So it is really hard to classify what was what then. The radios broke it down. The album, the people who the industry would break it down to make it easier because they didn't want you confused. They just wanted you to like it and buy it. That was it. They would put the little earphones in the little record stores for you to listen to a snippet of the song, and that's all you needed to do, and you could buy it then. But now looking back on it, it's really hard to classify that shit because it was so diverse. That's why I think it's the best 5 years in music for me. So. A lot of great albums, like I said, not just in 1996, but that whole 1993 to 1998, and then rap metal took over, and then it was all over. Let's see. Before we move on to so would say Queen Mode, the first thrash song after. You might want to retype that. Bad Brains. Okay, Walk This Way catapulted both Run DMC and Aerosmith's careers in the way that. Yeah, yeah. You know, and remember in the 80s after MTV, you had groups like that had been around forever that had hits now. Heart. These Dreams was a massive hit for them. They had been around for 15 years, 20 years. But that was the song that broke through with the MTV era with people. You look at REO Speedwagon. I Can't Fight This Feeling is their biggest hit. They had tons of hit, prior to that, but it was on I'm not saying segregated radio, but it was on radio that was focused towards different audiences, and it didn't have the radios weren't playing, those type of things during their era. As you rose into the 80s, and the major metropolis would have like state like for example, if you live in LA, Kiss FM. Kiss FM pretty much played everything. They played everything, broad spectrums. And then you had KCAL, KKLZ, all those things that had the that would play metal and rock. But even then, when alternative came over, they played everything. So you, instead of having to switch the dial, you had 2 or 3 radio stations that pretty much you could leave it on one and it would cover everything for you. But MTV, being able to see that, because when you had MTV, you left it on, right? You left it on, and you would have a hip hop, whatever, and then you would have Def Leppard. You'd have Def Leppard, and then you'd have Shania Twain. So even though that's a weird mix, your ear and your mind, something may click, because your buddies aren't around, the stereotypes aren't around. You may hear some country music, you'd be like, wow. And then there it goes from there. So yeah, MTV was huge, man. Rest in peace, MTV. Let's see. Thank you for the $5 super chat, Dan and Man, William and Brad. What artist or genre would you bring back to music in 2026, as is or with an updated, more relevant style? Bind alternative. But I don't even
Yeah,
need to finish the
I'd say
question.
so too. Yeah, I'd say so too.
Yeah, because for me, and I know a lot of you guys that'll watch this love the rock rap and the POD and the Limp Biscuits and all that stuff. That stuff makes me want to, stick pencils in my ears till they meet in the middle. That's just a taste. It's not bad. Not bad. It's a taste that I saw. And ironically, where we started in 1986 with Walk This Way progressed into what we got. So it's kind of a good thing, but at the same time, it just didn't do for me with what its predecessor did. So if I could bring back the alternative music, the post grunge era from 1993, and I wouldn't even have to make any changes, because the reason being is because they did it then. The music world, in my opinion, still hasn't caught up to the wavelength that they were putting out then. So I would bring it back as is. So that would be mine. Thank you for the $5 super chat, Dan. Okay. William, but why did Nickelback get so much hate? Because they're love songs. But keep in mind, Nickelback is hugely successful, but it's their love songs. They're love songs. They're looked upon as sappy things, but you know what? They know their market. And if your girl loves Nickelback and you don't take her, guess what? One of their songs is going to be about you because you just lost your chick. So I can't stand Nickelback, but I
like
know
Nickelback.
there's a market.
They were all over like early. They were all over the marketing like Spider-Man
soundtrack,
and then Daredevil. There was part of Daredevil. So if there was like a Marvel Comics movie in the early 2000s, they probably had a song in the soundtrack.
Oh. Like I said,
say what you will about the Daredevil movie. It's like I played the hell out of that soundtrack.
That's the only thing about this movie that is good. That soundtrack had Revis, Caught in the Rain. That had Wake Me Up. That had a couple of different ones on it. But yeah, I think Nickelback. I can't stand the sound of Nickelback, but dude, they're millionaires for a reason. They appeal to a generation and a demographic. Lots of love songs, lots of love songs. They're like a hairband without edge, but you know what? I think they get hit because they're looked at as soft. I don't know enough about them. They don't appeal to me enough to judge them. So, William, I actually heard a story that Biggie hated rap and other and use other. Well, they did, yeah. Both Christopher Wallace, aka Biggie Smalls, and Tupac were poets first. They were poets first. And a lot of those, I think Tupac even has interviews where he talks about using other genres to flow into his poetry. But those guys were legit. You could use the word poet to describe them as much as you could rapper. That's how, and they could do it automatically, So yeah, I don't know whether they didn't like rap or not, or hip hop. I think they liked hip hop, but you got to realize what they were doing versus what rap was in the '80s when they were probably growing up was a lot different than what they were putting out in the early to mid '90s. I mean, Raising Hell from One DMC is different than Somebody's Got to Die. You know, you know, Rapper's Delight, which is from Sugar Hill Gang in the late '70s, was different than Life After Death. I mean, it's just different. They're linked by hip hop, but they can be considered different genres depending on who you're talking to. Yeah, that was the first song I heard from Heart. I didn't know what Barracuda was. That's because of MTV. MTV did that for me. Let's see. All right, guys. Let's see. I don't want to miss it. I actually liked Creed, at least the first album. I even liked the song Higher until it got used used on that awful movie. What was it, Titan AE? That's what they used on the trailer, and then I just got sick of it. But they have different songs like 6 Feet. What Hours Wide Woman. They actually had a decent band. I don't know how much it covered, but yeah, Nickelback. I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. Yeah, look at this photograph. Yeah, oh god. All right, so wow, we went a long way on that one. So that's fine. All right, so we've covered cool. We covered anime. We covered. Oh yeah, I always pronounce it wrong. So 60 years ago, when Clint was 15. Fantastic Four, number 52. Let's load me up here. That's how it looked. This is how it looked in 1966. This is exactly what the cover looked like in 1966. With the $4.99 price difference, obviously wasn't. It was 12 cents back then, I think it was. This is a facsimile. So this is exactly how it looked when it came out, right down to the ads and all that stuff. This is a very important comic. This is a very important comic for several reasons. Not only is it the first appearance of the Black Panther, that's obvious. Yeah. See, I love these. I love these. These are the ads that were in here on 1966. These are the type of things that were in here. You know, stamps. Stamps were big in those days. You decide you order stamps. It was and that mail order stuff, and then you know how we have Bob Ross, or we had Bob Ross. They sold things in there you could learn. This is exactly what was on in these pages 60 years ago this year. And there you go. First appearance of the Black Panther. Jack Kirby, Stan Lee. I mean, this is the Humans during this episode issue. This is so how back in the day how you would you knew your comics were coming out next week. This is how they did it back then. So you'd have to go to your local wherever. For me it was 7-Eleven to find them. All right. Reason why Fantastic 452 was so important is not just who it brings about. It's when it happens. If you guys are I'm a history buff. I can talk today. Not all the history was pretty when it comes out the African American experience in America. And in the 1960s, I was not there, but my parents were there, and you do. It is inescapable for us, anyone of any walk of life, to not know what was going on in the 60s, mid 60s, late 60s. If you look at Marvel Comics from 1961 to 1966, I call that the era of color. Not I mean color like the 4 colors, the era of brightness. We were done with World War II. We were done with Korea. We were in that boom period where the prosperity and everything else, the news was refined. You only saw what they wanted you to see. You only read what they wanted you to see. The country changed. Now, a lot of these centers and audiences in the early 60s, in like 1961, 1962, if you notice, there's not many people looking like me in the early issues of the X-Men, Spider-Man, or Fantastic Four. Not because that Stan Lee and Jack Kirby didn't want to do that. You had editors, you had corporate people, you had backers that said, we don't know if it's safe. It didn't have necessarily have to be racist. We don't know. I guess it took 100 years for them to realize that, you know what, guys? Black people, we buy shit. We've always had. Can't go without it. But nobody wanted to ruffle feathers back in that era. As the 60s progressed, like I always explain, the world changed and Marvel Comics changed with it. Now we have from 1961 to 1966. Look what we had. We had the Kennedy assassination. We have the civil rights era exploding on the TV, so you couldn't hide it anymore. You couldn't just hear about it and be like, "Wow, that's a shame what's going on down there or down here." It was in your laps. It was in your living room. You had the Vietnam War escalating. You had race right. You had a lot of things happening. So the Marvel Comics in just 5 years changed from what they were to what they will become, more representative. The stuff that they were showing you from 1966 on was the stuff that Stan Lee and all these other guys wanted to show you before. They just couldn't make the connection between the reality that was happening and what they were drawing and writing. Black Panther was the first signature character that they were able to get this stature. And then, he's had his own book. He's up there. When you're talking Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, you're talking about the Pantheon, two-man Pantheon that created almost everything in that era. A handful of other people were involved, but as far as Marvel Comics goes, the name Jack Kirby or Stan Lee was on everything you were picking up. So this is early. This is early era. That's why when people try to say, well, Black Panther is not that level of character, I'm like, no, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby thought he was. And they would use him prolifically from 1966 on. He would get his own book. He's had several books. But and in 1966, because we were so split apart, no matter where you lived, you didn't really have the kind of conversations that like me and you would have in 2025. So you went based on stereotypes and shit. Black Panther broke any stereotype. He breaks stereotypes now. Ruler of Wakanda, one of the richest men in the world. And he even says that in it. I think I'm one of the richest men. I may be the richest man in the world. The most advanced society in the world. There's a lot of stereotypes during the 60s that went the exact opposite way with that. And here you have a character. You have basically a prince at this time because T'Chaka was still alive. You have a prince. You have royalty. You have the Fantastic Four talking to him on an equal level with respect. That was a big turning point. This would lead to characters like, you have Luke Cage, you have Storm, you have a lot of it from 1966 to 1975. You saw an influx, and comics started to look like people that were buying them. Because guess what? Like I said, Black folks were buying these things in the 40s and 50s and 60s too. My dad was buying these things. My uncle was buying these things. So this, to me, was groundbreaking in a way that it started to reflect us, not just for Marvel, for DC.
By the way, it's one back when Black Panther had a cape too.
Yep, got that little cape right on there.
They'll ever get like in Secret Wars or whatever? They'll finally give him a cape.
Nah, it's not necessary.
You know, so, no.
Well, in the 60s, most of these type of characters had certain things. You had trunks, you had a cape,
or you had like Spider-Man had like the web wings and
yeah. Remember those? A lot of people don't even draw those with them anymore.
Yeah, well, they finally. They didn't even like work it into the movies until like Far From Home, and that was like a kind of like a tactical edition.
Yeah, that wasn't this. Yeah, that was yeah.
it was like it's hard to pull that off in live action. So,
and then obviously when we would see this character brought to screen, off the screen, it's important. It's important for so many reasons. But you know, when he came about, the Black Panther, this comic book, this character precedes the group, the militant group, Black Panthers themselves. T'Challa came before that. This was groundbreaking. This is probably, if I had a top 20 most groundbreaking comics, this is going to be one of them. Not just because of what it is, but when it happened and what it led to, and what it it broke open the doors for Stan Lee, Jack Kirby all these guys who would be writing later on to actually write the stories that they probably were trying to write earlier on but couldn't get them past. But a lot of things fell in place for Black Panther to make that impact. TV, hearing about the civil rights era on a radio or a newspaper that you can put down, and your nightly news featuring it. Walter Cronkite featuring it. It's almost like the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War was a number to a lot of people until Walter Cronkite, a lot of those guys went to Vietnam embedded, and you started to see the carnage. Then it changed. The television era is as linked to the comic book era as anything else, because the golden age and in the late 30s and early 40s, you didn't have that. You had movie serials and you had the radio. But there's something to be said for seeing the environment that you're printing things out in on your screen and for real. The Black Panther first appearance meant something in 1966 that it was the right character at the right time, and I think it just led to a lot of different characters. Jon Stewart. I mean, it not only led to characters, it led to title characters, not just sidekick characters. Characters that could be at the top of the bill, characters that could take over for mainline characters. There's stretches of time where Jon Stewart is the Green Lantern. So, and a lot of this, and you figure that's early 70s. That's not too far removed from this. So, very important comic. We used to call this a turning point topic when it came to comic book. This is legit. It can't be more descriptive than it is here. 60 years. It's been 60 years. 60 years. That's a long time. Clint, if you still have your original copy of this, I'd like to see it. I know you were buying it. So there you go. Covered that. Always going to be an important. And they released this. I picked this up. They released this because it is the 60th anniversary of that. So, all right. Let's see. We are a drug-free channel. Jesus. Yeah, we use metaphors here for certain people's plane flights. Okay, you guys are talking about reggae. Yeah, and that came out a little bit later. They came out with Milestone, and they're reviving a lot of that. I think they're gonna revive a lot of that. I don't know why it never. I think that came back about in the mid '90s, when DC was getting rid of stuff that really was working, because Milestone stuff was selling in the '90s, but so was Vertigo, and they got rid of that. Now they're bringing it back. It's almost like you should have never got rid of it. Hear that, Marvel? Ultimate Universe? Now Marvel's got this new thing that they're doing that's supposed to be supposed to take the place of the Ultimate Universe. It better. Stealing money out of my pocket. Danny Man, thank you for the $5 support. It was very prophetic that Ryan Coogler directed Black Panther as his imprint on filmmaking is culture. Yes. 100%. Because seeing the Black Panther realized on screen as the first mainline level, and I know people like to bring up Blade, and I've already shot you guys down with that, but that's fine. Let's, for argument's sake, bring Blade into the cockpit. Not to the level of Black Panther. Not to the level of Black Panther. Blade and Black Panther are on two different levels. Like I said, we're talking about one of the original characters that Jack Kirby and Stan Lee penciled and wrote. And, a mainline character, and with a big budget. They spent some decent money on Black Panther. And the way Marvel presented the Black Panther when they presented him in the MCU, they presented him on the level as everybody else. There's a difference between like Sam Wilson coming in and being Falcon and being sidekick. No, when you bring in T'Challa, you're bringing him at the level. He's talking to Steve Rogers like you're talking to Black Panther. He's talking to Tony Stark. Do you know who I am? Type of character. He's on the same level. So they treated him It's the first black character that Marvel did that they treated on the same level as everyone else. People saw that, and that made a lot of difference. It was a beautiful thing to see. And I had people that were like, weren't comic book people. They knew who Black Panther was, but they weren't nerds like me. They were going to see that movie. And we make up 13% of the population. But trust me, when I was in the theaters, the many times I saw Black Panther, when we promoted it, we were like 50%, if not more, in certain screenings.
Oh, at least.
Cultural gear from head to toe in some certain situations. So it was a big moment. I'm proud. Listen, Ryan Coogler, I did not agree with Wakanda Forever, but I'm proud of the work he did with there. I am that the original Black Panther is always going to be special for me. So,
as Aaron points out about black led superhero movies pre Black Panther, there was Blade and there was Steel, and there was Spawn.
But Blade, Steel, Spawn. Listen, Spawn was huge, but not like that.
Well, comics wise, it was that was his heyday, and then when the movie
we're talking like cultural.
And then like when Spawn was breaking out, like when Image was breaking out, that was right when the Sci-Fi Center was when you were first starting, right?
Yeah, that was about 18 months after Image put out their first book. I opened.
Yeah, out of these three, I think we can. I don't think it's controversial to say Blade is the best of those three.
That's not saying much, but Blade was a great movie. My only issue with Blade, because I don't care about the last two. My only issue with Blade is where people try to revise history and put Blade in there as far as like what it meant to the MCU.
That's Steel, man.
Yeah, it was still a joke. The only reason it still got made is because of Shaq.
It's because Shaq, yeah. Well, and it's not even like I remember like because I was
I did it on purpose. No,
I was so looking forward to that when I was a kid because I thought, first of all, I thought Superman was going to appear because I mean Steel is he's one of the dudes who tries to fill Superman's void after the death of Superman because he's part of
plenty of copies available for you guys.
And so I thought this was going to be like I thought they were going to recreate like he saves John. This is part of why I really dug his role in Superman and Lois because like you got some big time live action, even though they really radically alter his backstory on the show. But again, it's way better than what we got in the movie. But like comics wise, John Henry's his life was Superman saved his life at one point, and he Superman had he left him with these parting words like live a life like worth saving. And he was inspired by that to create his steel suit, and then he tried to when Superman dies, he tries to be his successor and like try to fill the absence of Superman. Then Superman comes back, and it's like okay, now he's got a new ally with Steel, but none of that's in the '97 movie, which I was so mad. I thought we were gonna get that scene like he saves John Henry, inspires him to become a hero himself. I thought we were going to get like the suit with the cape and the flying suit. It's nothing like that at all. That movie is so awful.
I mean,
William, I mean, like even not being like a fan of like this death of Superman the story and the Steel story, would you not say that if you are going to do a movie based on that character, at least like try to like link it up to like his comic book backstory?
You wouldn't get me that far. You wouldn't get me that far.
Because again,
the only reason I would make that movie is because Shaq was huge at the time. That's it.
Well, he wasn't huge. He wasn't a movie star, clearly.
No, but he was bigger than a movie star. He was a basketball star in the era of Michael Jordan.
And by the way, Wesley Snipes also. It was. I think it was like the candidates they thought of. It was Shaq, Wesley Snipes, and I think like LL Cool J. They thought of for that. So
is Jon Stewart the first prominent?
See, look at this guy.
Get that off the screen. Get that off the screen. You might as well bring up Meteor Man. Get that shit off the screen. Mighty Max is Jon Stewart prominent hero for DC? Yeah, I don't know. I won't. I don't. Well, the first. I mean, yeah. Who preceded him? Who? I can't think of who preceded him on that level. Not Black heroes, but on that like Green Lantern.
Would you?
Be Green Lantern for a while. I'd
This
have
is
to say yes.
this is kind of a weird question. And I don't know where if you would classify him within like the lexicon of black superheroes, but Martian Manhunter is an interesting one because he's Martian obviously, but particularly like whenever he's been done in live action, it's very common to show when he takes human form, he takes the form of a black man. So do you think that do you think he fits in with that at all?
Not canonically, no, because he's always been considered as a green dude
Hmm.
with red suspenders. I mean, even because he can take any shape, he's not heretical. He's not. That's a shape he takes. He's a Martian. John Stewart is an African American.
Well, I mean, again, let's say the reason I bring that because I think most people would agree is like it is kind of there's somewhat of a tradition where like again, particularly when he's done in live action, with Martian Manhunter, where it's like when he takes human form, he's typically played by a black actor. So,
but he's a Martian.
I get you.
That black actor is playing a Martian. So whereas if you were playing John Stewart, you were playing. If you're playing, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I technically no, I guess would be the answer. But because he's a Martian, he can change to look like you. There's no heritage. There's no heritage to go along with that. I guess is what I'm.
That's that's where I say he's a little bit of a gray area because it's like he's
green area. Ha! Wow.
But but you know what I mean? Where it's like he's not technically a black character, but again, it just over the years he's been sort of linked with it, where it's like he's typically when he's disguising himself as a human. It's very, very common, I guess, especially whenever he's been done a lot, in live action, and a lot of times animation too, for it to take on the likeness of a black man. So, and by the way, I'm again, this is probably tinfoil hat, but Zach has always made the comment.
Well, I should just put that on your name.
He's always made the comment where it's like he didn't like initially conceive Swanwick to be Martian Manhunter like a Man of Steel. Like there was like a fan theory they saw floating around the time of BVS, and he kind of like took that and ran with it. I think he's BSing us on that. Go back and watch his scenes in Man of Steel. There's so many times where he's like awash in like green matrix light, or like when he and Superman like come face to face at the two-way mirror, and he's the only one in the room doesn't move. I'm telling you, it's like I think they were planting the seeds for that a lot sooner.
All right. Second to last topic I have is going to be Absolute Wonder Woman number 16.
Which I just went today and got this.
See the first.
I just went and got this. I haven't read it yet, but I went and got I haven't read it yet, but I went and got it from my comic book store today.
I just read it before. I'm so behind. I'm a shitty comic book reader right now because it's just so much coming out. This is the most that's come out in quite a while that I've had to read. I haven't read the new Iron Man. I was going to cover Iron Man #1. I could cover. I didn't read it. All right. This issue, while I like the significance of this issue was more of an introductory new arc. It's a brand new arc, and just like this is one of the cool things that helps sell these comics, by the way, is they let you know that when a new arc is starting. Everything is broken up into arcs, and so you know where you can come and go, and like if you're buying these in bulk, if you're buying them, say you're buying them for the story, only the story, you're not buying them, to gouge people $200. It says new story starts here, and it does that with Batman. It does that with the ones that are coming out after their initial arc is over, so it starts. So for those of you who have been reading, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I'm going to give you the bones in that. Veronica Cale has been, she's been a thorn in Absolute Wonder Woman's side since the beginning, and she's part of the Justice League. And she has control over certain individuals. She has control over Zatanna, and she's sicked her on Absolute Wonder Woman. She also has her own Suicide Squad, which has a lot of characters that are literally going back to the 40s era of Wonder Woman. The Golden Age characters, like there's a cheetah in here that are as part of her squad that is not a Minerva, who is in the comic book, who's like falling in love with Wonder Woman. By the way, it looks like they're intimating of that. I don't know how that's going to be accepted, but that's kind of cool. Oh, where's that? I had it up here. Damn it! I had the Suicide Squad on there, but it's her Suicide Squad, so that's what they're calling it. Let me bring up it, the picture that I had. Good issue. Good issue. Wonder Woman is now she's going through like a public persona type of thing to where she's introducing herself to the world, and she's all dressed up wearing gowns and stuff. She has her arm hidden, she's used the magic to hide her false arm, and she's like doing the whole, like when you see the press junkets and people are posing, and everybody you can see the cameras like, wow, she's huge because she's like 7 feet tall. It's like, um, uh, she's big, and let me give you an idea of just how big she is. You've seen how huge Absolute Batman is. Absolute Batman in the story is looking up to her, so she's big. Which she should be. She's Amazon, so she's introducing herself to the public, and then they get attacked by this group who are under the control of Veronica Cale, and all these people are, and she sits them on it, and then it's something to do with Wonder Woman's her magic that she's using that Zatanna is able to control. The look of her is it looks to be, in my opinion, a homage to Black Canary, and in the later late '90s era of Artemis Wonder Woman. I was watching another show, which is a really good show that pointed that out, and I realized, yeah, that's it. When Wonder Woman wasn't Wonder Woman for a while, and she wore this costume, except it was shorts. But Steve Trevor is testifying in front of Congress about what happened in San Francisco at the beginning of the series. So it's a lot of public relations stuff. And this is the arc where Wonder Woman starts to become the Wonder Woman that is the public facing Wonder Woman. And it's not until the end of this issue where Absolute Zatanna comes in and attacks her. She passes out and faints. And it's because of the magic being countered between her and Zatanna. So now you have two magic wielders that get to go at it in the next episode. This is the main cover. This is the A cover, doing pretty well. And I thought I had there's another cover that I used for the thumbnail where it's Zatanna sitting on the chair. That one I never got, but I got this one. Got this one. Thompson, Sherman, and Blair. Sherman's the artist. Kelly Thompson, who I want to interview one day. That's the only variant I have left. All the other variants sold out. Sucks. But A cover's doing pretty well. Also, something else I picked in. This is the Absolute Batman number 16. This is the one where he meets Wonder Woman, but this is a variant that I thought was pretty cool. I love that cover. I think this might be one of my favorite. Believe it or not, as much as I'm not really big on the animated series, I can see some Bruce Timm there. For those of you who, but this story of all the Absolute Wonder Womans was the weakest. Not because it was necessarily bad, but it's a setup. It's setting up the next 6 or 7 issues. It's introducing the players. It's introducing the Suicide Squad, and let's see if I can open this up. But when I say a weaker issue of Absolute Wonder Woman, that's probably a 10 for most of these books that are coming out today. So don't get me wrong, you should still buy it. But there she is. Artemis is in there. She's talking to Artemis. She spars with Artemis. That's how kick ass this Wonder Woman is. She's sparring with a goddess. And some of the full page art in this is beautiful. Some of the museum art. She's at a museum. Wonder Woman's appropriate at a museum. What else is there? And that's what I was telling you about. She's basically becoming a public persona. That's her on the media line, the velvet rope. And Aphrodite. a lot of the big she keeps having dreams of Aphrodite as far as like dealing with emotions of love, because she grew up in hell and Aphrodite used to visit her normally, but now as she's grown up and an adult, she's wondering where she's at. That's another god that she's like, because the only people she's interacted with besides Cersei was gods, and now she's starting to lose. And here is a here's Kale's lab, and if you notice, there's a Starro there. She's dissecting aliens and all these things to basically try to come up with ways to counter and control metahumans. It's a real shitty character. I hope she gets her ass beat by Wonder Woman in this one. But Absolute Wonder Woman, like not my favorite issue of the series so far, but it's leading somewhere to where I'm going to enjoy just as much as the regular. Now the stories that are getting that are picking up speed that I will cover next week, Absolute Flash has started getting to that breaking point. This last issue where he finds out where his powers are coming from, the equivalent of the Speed Force, that was really interesting. Martian Manhunter is starting to fall together now. It's a weird book that you got to pay attention to everything in Martian Manhunter, but it's things are starting to fall in place that are giving you like, okay, and you're probably gonna have to go back and read a couple of issues, but that's where the Absolute Universe is. Well, what did you do to your tailbone? Okay, never mind. Let's see. All right, now there's why is footnote coming up in the chat? All right, so the last topic of the day is something else that came out of 1986. I cannot believe Labyrinth is 40 years old. That just doesn't sound right. Did you ever see Labyrinth? Brad, you can unmute yourself.
Yep, I've seen it many times. So it was pretty much my intro to David.
How old were you when you first saw it?
I saw it on the Disney Channel when I was probably about like 11 or 12. That's probably when I first saw it. I have seen it theatrically since then, but it was my first time seeing it on the Disney Channel.
Yeah, you weren't alive when this one came out.
Yep, it's about a year before me. Yeah.
So I forgive you for being late to the game. At least you didn't. At least you didn't tell me that. Well, I saw it in The Simpsons.
Well, I mean, there are Simpsons episodes. I discover things there.
I didn't even want to watch The Simpsons on The Simpsons Plus. Well, shit. So.
And this definitely was my intro. This movie was definitely my intro to David Bowie.
Well, a lot of people, because this is the 80s. This is after the Tall Thin Duke era. Because he had his era, Ziggy Stardust in the 70s, disco era, and as the music changed, so did David Bowie. He didn't just change musically; he changed talent-wise. He broadened his his horizon, and he's really good in this movie. He's not, he probably had acting. I mean, he had Man Who Fell to Earth, but this is a whole different level of acting that I was very impressed. And the Labyrinth soundtrack is beautiful as well. I mean, it's no Highlander, but it's still it's still beautiful. All right, released in 1986. This was released. It wasn't a box office bomb. It didn't make a lot of money. I mean, it didn't get a lot of advertisement. And a budget of $25 million, which was for that time expensive for a non-IP film. It made $34 million, but it's become a cult classic. It's become like one of those TriStar movies that were back in the deal, and it was a Lucasfilm production as well, starring David Bowie, late great icon, and a Academy Award winner, not at the time, Jennifer Connelly. And they say, just horrible babysitting. Pretty much the plot, horrible babysitting. While in the park with her dog, Merlin, 16-year-old Sarah Williams, I think she was actually 16 at the time, recites from a book titled The Labyrinth, but is unable to remember the last line. Realizing that she is late to babysit her infant half-brother, Toby, she rushes home and is confronted by her stepmother, who goes out with Sarah's father for the night. Frustrated, so yeah, it's giving her treasure table. Yeah, it's basically kidnaps the kid. She's got to get him back. It's pretty much that simple. David Bowie played Jareth.
He has to go through this big labyrinth to get to him.
Literally. She's a horrible babysitter. Don't hire her. Jennifer Connelly as Sarah Williams, a girl who searches through a labyrinth to find her baby brother Toby. Toby Froud as Toby Williams, Sarah's baby half brother. Shelley Thompson as Irene Williams, Toby's mother and Sarah's stepmother. I don't see too much of them. Christopher Malkin, I haven't heard of that name in a while. As Robert Williams, Sarah and Toby's fathers. Juggler Michael Morrison is credited with performing Jareth's elaborate crystal ball manipulation. Yeah, you could pretty much tell that couldn't have been him. He constantly is now known as contact juggling. Is what that revolutionized. So yeah, who else was in this movie? Frank Oz. Wow, Frank Oz was a puppeteer for this movie. This is like some Dark Crystal level stuff.
Well, this was like during like really like the heyday of like Jim Henson and
who died way too young, by the way.
Yeah, this was like the heyday of like the Muppet era, because this is like not in name obviously, but this is in a lot of ways a Muppet movie.
Do you imagine having a set with Jim Henson and George Lucas on your set with David Bowie?
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's amazing. So I'm gonna show
the
trailer.
Trailer. David Bowie is Jareth the Goblin King.
Yep. I remember the costumes that year. There was one guy who did a costume of
which
it.
Didn't leave much to the imagination, let's put it that way.
Yeah, I'm surprised this movie
got a PG.
Got a PG rating. Because he looked more like Ziggy Starbucks or Starbucks. Wow, I got coffee on my brain and it's like fucking unbelievable. So let's see. Here we go. This is the official trailer, and I know this is probably gonna, like I said, we're already demonetized. Let's go ahead and do some more cash. There you go. Stop. Share. I know I'll get the notification as soon as the show over. Your video cannot be monetized. Oh no, what? I should be able to play a trailer. I mean, I know I'm not promoting this 40-year-old movie, but I get notifications from
TriStar.
I get notifications from movies that should want me to share that fucking trailer.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
TriStar Pictures announces the collaboration of three extraordinary talents. Jim Henson, creator of The Muppets and Dark Crystal.
Where you go with a head like that?
George Lucas, creator of the Star Wars saga. And one of the most innovative forces in modern entertainment, David Bowie. Together, they will take you into a dazzling world of fantasy and adventure.
There's nothing to be afraid of.
A world where anything seems possible, and nothing is what it seems.
Everything I've done for you. I move the stars for no one. Run so long, run so far.
The world of Labyrinth.
I actually remember seeing this trailer. I forgot what we were seeing, but I remember seeing that trailer in the movies, and it was, it was cool. It surround sound. Cannot believe that the same year that Lucas was behind and associated with that movie, that Howard the Duck came out the very same year.
Yeah, true,
Another movie that he was, and within the same year, Lucas had his hands on two different types.
He's
of
at the
movies.
top and at the very bottom.
In Labyrinth, I mean, for the budget that they spent $39 million on Howard the Duck and got that direct, and they spent $35 million on Labyrinth or $25 million on Labyrinth, and Howard the Duck cost more than Aliens.
The money's on the screen.
I don't know who got it. It must have been the cocaine. You
The
never
budget.
seen it, huh? Okay.
the budget for Labyrinth was 25, so they spent more on that horrible Howard the Duck movie than they did on Labyrinth.
Yeah, now it was like I said, Jim Henson, Phil Cole. I think I feel Cole. Yep, that was him. That was like I said. You got to now we look at him as this cultural icon, which he was then. But as years passed on, and you look at his career in totality, from Young Americans and all the way up till playing with side by side with Trent Reznor and Nine Inch Nails, which is a concert that was here in Vegas, and then some of the things. But he'll always be. He could have not been able to sing or dance. Give a fuck with me. Is that moment where he broke through, where he helped usher in a new age in MTV. Just with that one conversation alone, he'll always be, on my Rushmore of people like that. Because that alone was huge. I remember watching that. When that went down, and that was big for me. But yeah, Labyrinth, 1986. It's 40 years old. You saw Labyrinth in the movies. Hell, if you bought Tools Aenema in record stores, you're old. All right, but you're alive. You're still kicking. You're still breathing. And if you're watching this show, you know how to use modern technology, so you're not too far gone. All right, that was the last of my main topics. That's it. That's all I got. Got anything to bring up?
You want me to give my thoughts on Send Help?
Oh, you went and saw it?
Yeah. Went and saw it.
Cool.
Again, that's where my ticket didn't say that, so I ended up momentarily walking into Melania's documentary.
Yeah, by accident, huh? Sure, buddy.
Yes, by accident, because it's okay. So this is Sam Raimi's new black comedy horror movie. So what is Rachel McAdams plays this secretary, to this this CEO dude who really mistreats her, and she gets turned over for a promotion, and she accompanies them on this flight that's part of this company's upcoming merger, and the plane crashes, and she and the kind of the douchebag CEO end up shipwrecked, and then the tables kind of flip on them, where it's she's the one who's really kind of keeping really practicing all survival skills and kind of keeping them all set up, and he's getting over a broken leg, so he's kind of having to deal with the tables being turned on him. And there's some interesting twists and turns in this movie. Rachel McAdams is pretty awesome in this. She has kind of an interesting character arc where she because she's sort of looked down upon in her her life back at home, she actually kind of ends up wanting to stay on this island, and there's there's a bit of some plot elements about her efforts to, let's say, avoid rescue. So yeah, I think this is not as gory as Evil Dead or what have you, but this is definitely very, very Raimi as far as the kind of the campy black comedy horror elements. And there's some interesting twists in it. There's stuff I definitely will leave unspoiled because of the direction it goes, and it takes some interesting turns with her character as, again, the person who's kind of really the downtrodden, again, is a bit of a loser back in her home life, and then this incident happens that sort of reinvigorates her. So overall, I really enjoyed it. I think if you're a Raimi fan, you'll probably like this a lot too. This is again, like I said, not quite. There are moments where they have. And by the way, it was also in 3D, which until I saw it, I didn't understand why it's in 3D. But there are 3D. There are 3D moments for this. There are moments of gore in it that not quite the Evil Dead levels, but I think if you are a Raimi horror fan, you probably will enjoy this quite a bit. Is there a Spider-Man? Or he mentioned an Easter egg that nobody saw. Well, Ash's car, I didn't see that in there anywhere. So I don't know how you would do that in the they're shipwrecked. They're like castaway. Again, none that I caught. I'd need to see it again. So And Brad needs to watch Melania because no, I don't see everything, man. I don't write about every single thing that's produced or released. Yeah. What else you got? But yeah, overall, yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think William will too when he gets a chance to see Send Help. But it's a kind of clever spin on the whole kind of idea of getting shipwrecked. Like, what if their life kind of sucks, back, their normal life sucks, and being isolated from society, and not only that, but also like having the power dynamic with your boss who really walks all over you. That gets flipped. Like, what that would you like enjoy suddenly being marooned on an island? So Rachel McAdams, she's really, really good in this. So I think probably I think people will dig this if they want to see Raimi go full Raimi. So that's my quick review of it. But does this rank higher or lower than Drive Me to Hell? I'd say I probably would rate this higher than Drive Me to Hell. This is probably Raimi's like again, it's not quite a horror movie either. It's got like that element to it, but it's really more of like a black comedy.
Misery and Lost.
That's not a bad way to describe it. Actually, it really isn't. It puts like a really kind of clever spin on the idea of like the kind of Castaway scenario. Like, well, what if your life sucks? Back at home, it's like, well, what if I'm thriving more, being shipwrecked than I was back at home? What if you did decide yet you wanted to stay put on this? And again, there are some interesting twists about how the length she goes to stay on, to not get rescued, and the survival methods that she like how she's how they're able to get food and survive and all those important elements to it. It's really really interesting how it's how it kind of unfolds. And again, Rachel McAdams this is probably like her best performance since like Mean Girls, which like everybody kind of associates her mainly, ever remembers her forever as like as Regina George. This is like the opposite of Regina George. This is opposite of like the the Mean Girls, where it's like she's again at the bottom of the totem pole back home, but now she gets a taste of being outside of that. It's like, maybe I want to stay on this island. I did not. That would it's hard to do that too in this scenario. I mean, not to say that there aren't other characters in the movie, but the scenario itself kind of I know everybody like with Raimi, you expect a Bruce Campbell cameo, you expect Ash's car. They don't, again, unless he kept that really well hidden. I did not catch that. So, but anyway, that's my quick thoughts on Send Help, which overall really enjoyed. So I think William, you'll probably
New Zealanders. What's up?
I think you'll dig it when you get a chance. So you probably should watch party of it when it comes on digital, which again these days is not a really long turnaround.
You got 2 New Zealanders in it, and so now so the New Zealanders, so they got 2 Australian people and 2 New Zealand people. You guys should swim to each other. All right, well that's it.
I'm just reading. I'm reading now on the Wikipedia page of Bruce Campbell. He does have, again, I must have been in the bathroom for this, or it's he is not physically in it, but it's like he's in it as photograph form. He's the father of Dylan O'Brien's CEO dude. So again, but I think you'll dig it. I think you'll dig it when we get the chance to see it, because it's very. I was thinking about it actually when I came out of it, because like Raimi, I mean, like my generation, my intro to Sam Raimi was Spider-Man, because I hadn't seen Evil Dead.
Wow. Was
that a bad way to be introduced to Raimi? Come on.
Oh, that's just weird, because he was already iconic before Spider-Man. Good.
Yeah, but that was my first Raimi movie. Was the first Spider-Man. Then like later on, I got discovered. Okay, he came from doing horror movies. So, but I was thinking like he does have like that's kind of like the two kind of extremes of his career. It's like, and again, a lot of it's generational. I mean, depending on how old you are, it's like you might know him better either from Evil Dead or Spider-Man. which in my case, my generation, like you would have like been introduced to him, via Evil Dead. My generation, we met him through Spider-Man. But that's kind of like he's again like two polar opposites. Like it's either superheroes or horror movies, and I will always I'm one of the people. It's like I know the reception to Doctor Strange 2 is kind of divisive. I actually really dug it. And part of it's because it's like he got a lot of like his rainy horror, Evil Dead.
It's a slop for me. It's just sloppy. The way it's just the sequences and the pacing of it. It's just like they threw a bunch of things together. There are rainy aspects in it, but that doesn't make it to me. I don't hate that movie. I just thought that there was so much in it. The cameos were worthless to me.
What would you say is your favorite Raimi movie?
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead. Yeah. Again, it's like my intro was definitely the original Spider-Man, and that was a passion project for him. And he's talked about it. He's coming from being like a Spider-Man fan his whole life, so he wasn't like this like a workman for hire for that. I mean, that was like you're getting a different flavor of Raimi, obviously, with Spider-Man, but
after that it's Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, well, even that like the scene with Doc Ock comes to life. I mean, that's like. That terrified people because he got to kind of take the gloves off of that, and that's actually I think maybe in hindsight if he could have like put a little bit more like kind of horror elements into Venom in 3, maybe people might have like latched on to Venom in 3 a little bit more. I don't know.
Well, you really couldn't. You couldn't do that and keep it. I mean, you saw. I mean, for 2007, I thought they could went as far as they could, and still kept it PG. I mean, 15 years later or so, when you do the ones with Tom Hardy, they still have to cut back because
see, ironically, actually those actually have like
decapitation.
And those actually, the Venom movies actually kind of have. I think they have kind of a bit of like a campy black comedy Raimi sort of feel to them in a lot of ways, even though he wasn't involved with them. It's like they do have sort of the dark humor to it, even though they didn't go full R-rated with it. But I'm trying to think. When did I first see? I saw Evil Dead. Like I had seen all his Spider-Man movies before I ever saw Evil Dead. And I saw Evil Dead probably like a year or two after 3. It's probably when I first like started like discovering Raimi's filmography, like pre-Spider-Man. And he's actually talked recently about he interested in a Batman movie too, which I think he'd probably do a pretty awesome Batman movie. I think he probably could do a pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think he has range. He's got one of those range to where. That's why I always say when people see a certain talent that does primarily one thing, thinking, well, he does this, he can't do that. Yeah.
It's like
creator is a creator.
Do you think? I mean, nobody. I mean, back when Evil Dead. Did anybody think that guy was going to do Spider-Man?
No, and that's why when I hear people say, "Well, I don't know about this casting, I don't know about this this hiring," I'm like, "How do you know?" I mean, you don't know. This guy could have came in with a kick-ass script, and because we're not in the business, we don't know what these people are capable of. So that's the same with Sam Raimi. He will obviously know what he's capable of.
He also did a Western, Quick of the Dead. When I was talking about Perp one time because
what's her face in it from
with Sharon Stone.
Instincts, yeah.
And
that movie's kind of ridiculous.
Well, yeah, but it's the Old West, and they were doing like a Western kind of in like the time frame like after the Western had kind of like not the dominance of the Western had died down by that point. But there's part in Quick of the Dead that God, this makes me laugh every time I see it. It's the old dude from Home Alone. He's the kind of like the town coroner. And for those of you who haven't seen Quick of the Dead, Sharon Stone goes to this town where she's seeking revenge on Gene Hackman, he's the mayor. He killed her father when she was younger, and so she enters this quick draw contest to get to him. And as it progresses, so they have the quick draw contest. The guys shoot at each other. One of them falls over, and the town coroner he walks up into the main street after every match. And he looks at like the guy who got shot. He looks at from like 20 feet away and goes, "Man's dead. Kid's a winner." I mean, everything that's his analysis. Like, man's dead. Kid's a winner. It's like that part that always gets me in that. So, So yeah, Raimi, he's definitely got it right range. But yeah, overall, really enjoyed Send Help. I think you'll dig it. I think you'll probably dig it when you get the chance to see it. I'd say let's probably do a watch party for it when it comes on digital, because I think you'll probably like it a lot.
Gotta actually start watching some of the shit we're saying we should do a watch party for, because we got like 80 movies.
Yeah.
There's been literally Aussies and Kiwis that have swam between Australia and New Zealand. Anyway, so Aaron, will you be one of them now? Or you or Sona be one of them? Because I'll buy the camera that you can put on your head so I can watch you stuff in it. Let's go forward. Kayaking, no, I wouldn't do that. Let's see. All right, guys. I think that that's gonna wrap it up for tonight. I don't have the energy to do anything else beyond what I put in the thumbnail. So tomorrow afternoon, probably around between 3 and 5, I'm gonna have a Patreon stream. It's just for all you Patreons that are still with us on there, and I'm gonna have a members only stream right after that for our YouTube members. So keep an eye on. You should get alerted if you're in a Patreon. You'll get a message, and if you're on the YouTube, you'll get an alert bell immediately as soon as I set up the show. And they'll give you a countdown to when I go live. So yeah, it's just gonna be open topic, just to thank the patrons and the YouTube members that are with us and are continuing to support the channel. So it's gonna be like a quickie, but we'll just talk, and then you'll get to bring up your stuff. I'll probably bring you on. I don't think I can do it on YouTube because it's YouTube straight from there, but I can. I know I can do it on StreamYard. So we'll talk then. And then tomorrow night, we have our weekend wrap up show. I have a special guest who has made his own comic.
I think I know who it is.
Not that person, not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, she's the person you're talking about is getting to have some weather issues. Derek Johnson, he's a local here in Las Vegas.
Okay.
He's been dropping his stuff. This is his comic. This is his finished comics. Got it published and everything else. So we're going to. He's got a. It's called The Caretaker. This is number 0. This is an ash can he's giving everybody who carries it in the store. There's his QR code, but we'll go through all that. We'll have all the links to his Kickstarter and everything tomorrow when we bring him on around 8:00. So we're going to be doing a little bit early. These next 2 weekend wrap-ups are going to be earlier. One of them is going to be on a Super Bowl Sunday. So I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to do what we did last year, and because it was fun, but yeah, tomorrow we're going to be talking Wonder Man, because I have not had a chance to watch enough Wonder Man to form an opinion on it. And then since Brad wasn't there for the other show and we showed the Daredevil trailer, I might show that again so we can have a more in-depth discussion on that. And that's about it for tomorrow. Who is this? Hold on. Let's gotta make sure this is not somebody who's watching us.
No.
Hold on. Oh, it's Fourth. Fourth. He went to the Fourth saw Sam Raimi. Or saw Ted Raimi. So Fourth went to the what's that comic called that you went to? You guys brought it up. It was in Ontario, but I know you and did you see Azteca down there? I thought Azteca was gonna go to that. I can picture any director directing any movie. I'm just a firm believer that if you can tell a story, you can tell a story. William, I got this question. What are your top 10 superhero movies since the year 2020? Oh, wow. Shit, there hasn't been that many. Shit, has there been that many since 2020? To be honest with you? Let's see.
It's been 6 years.
All right. Well, obviously,
Might be one to sleep on.
The Batman. Oh, shit. Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Obviously, Zack Snyder's Justice League. No Way Home. Yeah.
Okay, if we're talking about overall movies, then yeah, I got to put that in there. But if you're talking about theatrical releases, but if we're just going, so that's I got 3.
Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. Across the Spider-Verse, that's 4. Thunderbolts. I like Thunderbolts. Put Thunderbolts on it too. That's 5.
I'd probably say Shang-Chi too.
I couldn't. I liked it, but I couldn't. I would only put it in my top 10 because I couldn't find any other movies. I enjoyed that movie, but it wasn't like it was cool, but it wasn't like I couldn't put it like in the same top 10. I could put like a Across the Spider-Verse or in, Beyond Spider-Verse stuff. What got released in 20? I mean,
Yeah, it might be one to sleep on. Kind of like go
yeah,
through the
because
list and everything because it's a 6
some
year
of the
period.
movies sucked. Obviously, some of the movies were mismanaged and they faded, and some of the other stuff was just Marvel stuff that just bored me. So yeah, that's gonna be a tough one. You know what? To be honest with you, son, I may not have 10. I may have 10 movies that I liked and thought were cool, but now, when you tell me a top 10 or top 5, that's usually like the creme, creme de la creme. And some of these movies are just really fun, but they don't elevate themselves. I don't want to put them next to movies that really were special to me. Like, let's see. I've never seen a Raimi film that wasn't a superhero movie. Yeah, Quick and Good. That movie's just
That's not a superhero.
Blowing holes in people's heads the size of a puffball. William, what are some of your favorite westerns? I'm not a big western fan, but Pale Rider with Clint Eastwood. Django Unchained is considered a western. Hateful Eight is considered a western.
I would classify Logan in that. I would classify Logan as a western.
I wouldn't. To me, that's a superhero movie, but wow. I haven't seen too many. Tombstone.
Yeah, Tombstone.
That's it for me. So that's crazy. I will be dead after 10 paddles in Australia. Yeah. Especially if there's like jellyfish in it that can kill you in that ocean.
Mm-hmm.
I swim better than I can walk. Just found out Desmond. Yeah, I covered him at the beginning of the.
And of course, we also Catherine O'Hara too. Yeah, that was.
I literally, no disrespect to Catherine O'Hara, I've literally seen an hour of your work.
No, see. Home Alone,
Beetlejuice.
Home Alone, Beetlejuice. I mean, my generation, and I thought about that earlier too. Like this coming holidays.
Your generation. None of those movies are your generation, really.
Well, anyway, that's I thought about this with because Beetlejuice is and certainly new ones. He was on every Halloween, and then Home Alone. Both those are every Christmas, and I thought, yeah, this is those are going to be as far as her body of work. I mean, those are kind of some of the most iconic roles she had.
Those been in movies I don't like. Nothing against her, but she's generally in movies I don't like.
So like when me and many other people around the world like revisit those, have those on like for Halloween and Christmas, this will be the first time we'll do that posthumously for her. So that's going to be really surreal.
Because she was in Schitt's Creek, which I'd never seen 1 second of that.
That I heard good things about that. I know people really like that. My mom really likes that show.
She's in Home Alone, a movie.
And she wasn't even that old. She was only like 71. She's
71. Yeah, she was in Home Alone, a movie that I literally walked out on into another movie.
Are you serious?
I think Home Alone. It's not for me. I fucking hate that movie. Beetlejuice. You guys have known for a while what I thought of Beetlejuice when we talked about the sequel. I think Beetlejuice is one of the most. It's where I started to doubt whether I was ever going to be a Tim Burton fan, and then Batman came out, so we were good there. And then Batman Returns came out.
Sally in Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah,
voice of Sally in Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, so rest in peace. No disrespect to Catherine O'Hara, but when I was trying to, usually when these people go, there's a body of work that I actually watched or liked, and I couldn't come up with anything for her, but she's a much respected actress in this field. I knew who she was, and for somebody who doesn't really, she was in movies I just don't like or watch. For me to know who you are a legend. You were an icon. And then with Lamont passing, man, you big dummy. I grew up with that show. The show was off the air before I was even born, I believe. But Sanford and Son was a staple, man. Sanford and Son, Red Fox, and Derek Wilson. He was 79 when he passed away. I don't know what the cause of death for either one of these individuals was. But I can't even come up with a lot of stuff that he was in because I only knew him. So we have two people who passed away. I know one of them by name, which is Captain O'Hara, and I know the other one from only one role. So that's just weird. But the fact that these people lived lives and careers where I can say, hey, rest in peace. I know who you are. Just because I didn't, you were in movies I didn't like doesn't mean I don't respect your passing. It's hard for me to bring up. Like I had to Wikipedia her because I only knew the 3 movies. You brought up Nightmare Before Christmas. I mean,
And by the way, Macaulay Culkin, he actually put out because he stayed really close with
I saw that.
their Halloween after Home Alone. To the point where he still called her mom. So he put out a really heartfelt tribute.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but like I said, her resume aside for both of these individuals, you were both stars, and you're right. And rest in peace to both of you. Both of you were in your 70s, man. It's a tough week to be 70. This week, but yeah. What else was she in? Let me see, because I feel bad when I do the RIPS, and I don't have a real connection to the people who passed. It's kind of, she's got to have been in something that I liked.
The Last of Us. She was on The Last of Us. Like as far as, and she's also recently on the Studio. This is like some of her more recent work.
All right, here we go. Nothing Personal, Deadly Companion, Rock and Roll, After Hours. It's a Martin Scorsese movie. Heartburn, I did see that. I don't remember her being in it, but I was a kid. Beetlejuice never did anything for me. Dick Tracy, there was a whole bunch of people in Dick Tracy. Betsy's Wedding, Home Alone, Little Vegas, There Goes the Neighborhood, Home Alone 2. Didn't even watch that. Nightmare Before Christmas. I knew of it, but I didn't know. It looked stupid. The Paper, Wyatt Earp, A Simple Twist of Fish. Yeah, she did a lot. Tall Tale, Last of the High Kings, Pippi Longstocking, Home Fries. See, this is just a bunch of movies that I either didn't like or didn't see. This woman had a career. Orange County, The Mighty Wind. I knew of that. Surviving Christmas, Lemony Snicket, a series of events. That was with Jim Carrey, I believe, right? Game 6, Chicken Little, Over the Hedge, Monsters House, Brother Bear 2. Penelope, for your consideration, Barbie and 12 Dancing Princess. That's Voice. Away We Go, Where the Wild Things Are, Killers. Monster in Paris, Frankenweenie, ACOD, The Right Kind of Wrong, When Marnie Was There, Being Canadian, The Addams Family, Grandma Frump, Canada Far and Wild, Extinct, Back Home Again, Mary Owl, Elemental, Pain Hustlers, Argyle I knew of, but I didn't. That movie sucking had anything to do with her. Beetlejuice, Wild Robot, and John Candy, Like Me, herself in a documentary. Television, SCTV, because maybe I did see her. You've Come a Long Way, Katie. The new show, I just got Dream On. I remember, Dream On, yeah, she was in that. I remember that show from HBO. Married with Children, Larry Sanders Show, The Hidden Room, The Outer Limits, Hope, Late Last Night, Mad TV, 6 Feet Under, so I had to see it. That's good. I love 30 Rock, Modern Family, Schitt's Creek. She was on there. Dr. Deborah Radcliffe. I don't know if that was a regular on there, but I never watched the show. The Last of Us, Gail Linden. So she was in season 2. And in the Studio, main role. She did video games. She did a lot. I mean, she got a lot done. She was acting.
Yep.
I wonder, 71 years old. But yeah, like I said, I know who she was, and that's why I put her on the. That's why I honored her passing, because once again, me being real big into whatever you were doing has no bearing on whether I mourn your passing. And like I said, I knew who she was. Kind of sucks. 71 years old for her. And then you beat
not even that.
He was 70. He was closing on 80. But even still, though, I mean, it's 80's not super old. I mean, but if you have mitigating circumstances, though, because like I said, I don't know the cause of death of any of these guys. And it used to be when somebody passed away, cause of death was like so and so. Now sometimes you may never hear it. And you just kind of like, because there's been a couple of people that we've honored up here that we don't get the cause of death until like maybe way down the line, if at all. So I mean, respect their privacy. It doesn't matter how they died. I mean, and when it's suicide, it still sucks. It's still gone. But these are health issues, I think. And who was there was somebody else that there's a couple other people that passed away this week. There was a lady, Shirley, who fed the homeless out in Skid Row in L.A. She passed away at 58, and she was a big social media. I mean, she was a big hero to the homeless, and it's just, man, it's tough. It's tough just to get through this day by day, and it doesn't really matter how old you are, because we've covered enough people that have passed that we got people in their 40s and 60s and 20s. You know, it's just it doesn't matter, man. All right, so like I said, for those of you guys who were big into that, let's see, watching Joe Pesci, Try Not to Swear is the best. Sorry, Al Pacino and Robert De Niro trying to see it. And when they do cuss in their movies, when you're watching it on a TV and they blink it out or they cut fudge instead of fucking, they think fudge. I'm like, dude, just
well, replace it. If you got to dub it over or something, I don't have a problem with that. But at least replace it with something that people actually say. I mean, like Mike told
just give me the beep. Beep.
No, Mike told me about one time he saw I think it was Money Talks on cable, and it dubs over one of Chris Tucker's lines, and it says, "I don't give a fluke."
Yeah, just it's so bad. Yes, we did do that for Halloween.
We did. I remember one time I caught snakes on a plane. The way they edit is, I have had it with these monkey biting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane.
I think they did that more as a joke because you can't do a Samuel L. Jackson movie that's not a Marvel movie without him dropping that.
Pretty much, yeah.
And he almost got away with it when he disappears after Infinity War.
Think of their first F-bomb. Their first F-bomb, the MCU, when they didn't give it to him. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What? Come on.
Well, he has to have the MF.
They hand wave it away, like in Guardians 3, where like Star-Lord, he's like, Star-Lord says like, open the fucking door or whatever. Like it's like it's hand waved away. It's like it's glanced over. It's like, and then you get like him disappearing, him disintegrating in Infinity War. It's like that could have been. It's your first F-bomb. This is gift wrapped for you, Sam Jackson turning to dust. Like this could not be more perfect.
Yeah, but then it would have been an R movie. The more I remember,
no, you get one F-bomb for PG-13.
You don't get a motherfucker. You don't get one of those. You get a.
Well, you could. You don't. It could have been fine if he just said, "Oh, like, oh, fuckers."
But he was saying literally mother than anything.
Yeah.
I love that show. Like I said, the show was off the air. When did Sanford Son go off the air? I don't even think I was alive, but I was very small, but we had repeats. A lot of the shows I watched, like Gilligan's Island, all these shows, most of the shows I gravitated were off the air before I was even born. Gilligan's Island had been off the air before I was born. All right. Oh, it had 6 seasons. Ooh, wow, that's a long time.
Oh yeah.
Yep, it ran. Let's see.
Yeah, it cuts off right when she
I was 3.
Yeah, it cuts off right when she like sees him take a mask off and he has the suit back. It's like, what the?
Oh, what the? Yeah. Let's see how they weren't gonna.
That's what annoys me so much about Guardians 3 being the one to get the first MCU F-bomb. It's like because it's so they just hand wave it away. It's like, okay, here you go. Like,
you were referring to Nichelle Nichols, who was playing Uhura, and she kissed Kirk. That was big. That was 1960 something, 60s. Like I said, these moments that happened in the 60s were big because of when they take place, and when they got let's see, John Candy and Catherine are sharing a ride in the sky. I didn't notice. Apparently, there's like 5 or 6 things that I've watched she's been in, and I didn't. She just wasn't anyone of note for me, or she wasn't playing like the main characters. I watched 6 Feet Under, and don't remember.
Yippee-ki-yay, mother father. See, I don't know. It's like that bugged me as much in like Live Free or Die Hard when he's like when he has the gun, he shoots the bullet through his own body. He gets like yippee-ki-yay and mother bang. I don't know. It's like
funny thing about that movie is when he has to wear the sign, "I hate black people." Like,
no, that's in the 3rd one. Live Free or Die Hard was the 4th one. And that's
that's the one that sucked. Live Free or Die. I remember that one. That was one.
No, the one that sucks is A Good Day to Die Hard. That's the worst one by far.
I wanted to crawl out of my own screen after 4. 4 sucked for me.
No,
A
Good
Day to 3, and then there's
A Good Day to Die Hard
that are called Die Hard that are fucking trash. Those last 2 were like that's when you're wringing the blood out of.
And I've always wondered. with the sign when he goes to Harlem, like how do they Yeah, how do they work around that on cable? Do they just blur it out? Like, how do they do that?
I haven't seen it.
I've always wanted to see like how do they like when they show it on like cable? How do they or could you like edit it where they draw
on cable, like pay cable, or like
no, like on basic cable where it's like it's where they have to
Oh,
edit.
I haven't.
I see. I always
There's
thought
certain movies I just won't watch.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, but I've always thought maybe they with that I would think what they might do they wouldn't like the way the work around that would be it's like not blurring it, but they would like write over it. They say let's say I hate blacks or I hate Negroes or something like that, which is like it's still very offensive. You know, you wear that in Harlem, but again, it's like it's the intent of the sign with the verbiage it goes with it. Of course, it's very it's putting a target on his back, literally.
Yeah, and that was the whole thing. It was to get him. I can say I liked 2. I liked 2 and I liked 3. But I liked 1, 2, and 3. 1's the classic. 2 and 3. That after that last one was. I don't remember how what a waste of time I felt like I was watching.
A Good Day to Die Hard's terrible. It's so bad.
But it's Die Hard with a Vengeance, and then
Die Hard, which is absolutely a Christmas movie.
It's not. I'm sure.
And Die Hard 2, which is also a Christmas movie. Our first non-Christmas movie of the franchise, Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Neither one of them, but yeah, Die Hard.
And why did they never bring Zeus back? That would have been like so. They never brought Zeus back after that. That's what I think. A lot of people were saying. It's like,
done.
Yeah, but it would have been better than what we got.
Yeah, but that's not a good enough reason to bring back. I mean, it's like the Scream franchise. Why am I getting Sydney again?
Yeah. Which that I'm gonna see that when I guess this month now when it comes out. But I'm kind of screamed out at this point, and I'm kind of screamed out on behalf of Sydney. It's like hasn't that poor woman suffered enough?
Yeah, because like I said, the way she left the franchise was that's you really can't really.
Well, I mean, you can't scare Sydney anymore because she's had so many maniacs come out with her. She's like, okay, here's another one. Let's get ready. And where would you rate those?
Vengeance
Die Hard with a Vengeance thing. Yeah,
isn't that number?
That's the third one. Yeah, with Sam Jackson.
Yeah, that's the best one. Actually, no. It's the most entertaining one. The best one is the groundbreaking one. That was in '88.
Well, I mean,
the third one is right behind it.
Well,
Die Hard 2 was good, but it was more the same.
Well, I think a lot of people say that too with Vengeance because just the chemistry of Bruce Willis and Sam Jackson because that's the first one that's really a buddy movie out of them is 3.
Yeah, and then that's where Sam Jackson was started to come on my radar in a very powerful way.
Yeah, that was like when did he first break out? Like late '80s or.
Yeah, he'd been doing stuff in the '80s, but I wasn't paying attention to him.
But this was like right after Pulp Fiction and like Jurassic Park, so he was this was when he was like I forget where it was I forget which trailer I saw this in, but it was it was a movie involving like a Muppet and human interaction, and the topic of Sam Jackson
about the murder mystery.
Yeah, something like that. And the topic of Sam Jackson comes up, and like this younger kid asks who's Sam Jackson, and the puppet says, "Have you seen any movie ever made? He's the black dude."
That was that Candyland or something land,
something like that, yeah.
Murderland or something.
Yeah, something like that.
It had Melissa McCarthy in it, didn't it?
Yeah. Who I am not a fan of.
No, I don't think she's gotten that talented, but she's somebody likes her because she keeps getting work and she keeps getting her husband work.
Yeah, her husband keeps getting her work, yeah, because they keep working with her.
Or he directs all of her movies. So
yeah, not a fan.
Let's see what that movie is.
Oh, it's from Ted 2?
No, I mean
You're saying it's from Ted 2?
No, it's I know you should talk. It's I got it. Marvel Claus, Genie.
Oh, by the way, one other thing I was gonna bring up is like even though you're not that big
Happy Time Murders.
Even though you're not that big on the season at this point, I'm not that big either. But they finally apparently have dated and scheduled and lined up the finale of the Fast and Furious saga.
Oh, yeah.
For like March 28, I think. I think I've joined the camp where it says like they're in my mind the series proper ended with 7 with them riding off to the sunset. And then we have one spinoff, which was awesome, Hobbs and Shaw since then. and that's the franchise for me. And other than that, we've had
six wasn't a masterpiece either.
Well, none of them were like
The Godfather.
they're the Godfather. What they're trying to do, which is like it's car stunts and like explosions and fight scenes and crazy shit. And it's like, like 5 through 7. That's and Hobbs. That's where the real like. That's where they really hit their high marks for me is the 5 through 7 and Hobbs and Shaw really it's the only one since 7 I've really technically liked. And then ever since then, it's just been Looney Tunes on wheels because they just keep getting more and more and more absurd with each one. We're going to space in a car now.
Because duct tape will save you. We can outrun this. We're driving on. Yeah, we're driving on ice. We can maneuver past this torpedo.
Oh, we're gonna outrun a submarine too. Yeah. And then 10,
all right.
Like Jason Momoa, if you haven't seen 10, Jason Momoa is the reason to see 10.
And see people who come back to life who should be like shredded. And
I really hope like Gal Gadot. I hope they don't even bother explaining how she came. They just say, "Oh, it's just family, because that's the answer for everything in the series. It's just family. It's like how's he like how does Dom escape this big explosion by driving the car straight down a dam? Just family. Just say family. That's our answer. Everything is family. So, but the
yeah, it is from Tattoo. It is from Tattoo. The only reason I know that is because we promoted the screening of that, and Samuel Flash Gordon was there. Sam Jones was there, and I got his autograph. All right, guys. I think that's it. I think we're about to wrap it up. I will see you later on. It's about 11:59. So I'll see you guys. So you Patreon, keep an eye out, and you YouTube members keep an eye out, and join me in the early afternoon, and then later on in the evening. Please like, subscribe, share, do all the things that help the algorithm, which has gone haywire lately. Nobody can figure out what the fuck's going on with it. But until we do, and if you're watching on Twitter, these other ones, how many of you guys are watching on Twitter? Quite a bit. Right under me, youtube.com/@the Sci-Fi Center. We will see you this Sunday.